Bubble, though, Gundabre as well as Bofink. So we're going to see them once again try to make it in. We'll see if they're going to do so. Jacob, let's get into it, though. This is qualifier number 2. And get loud in the chat if you can. At least let us know who you're supporting. I saw a whole bunch of support for Fluger. Big fan of Fluger. We're going to see him try to qualify once again. I know he was a little bit further down the list, but as, more people start to qualify, those who are on the bubble or maybe, 30th place, 20th place in Heat 1 and Heat 2, they're going to be looking just fine. Let's start off with Crackley, which I believe we ended with him in some incredible moments in that game number 5 in Heat 1.
Yeah, and you kind of prefaced it yourself, talking about on the bubble. I do believe he's finished in 14th spot, just shy of that bubble. 7 points of possibly even tying and getting himself in. Him and Okus, this is going to be out for revenge. They not too much contested over towards Anvil. There's somebody just outside trying to get that little bit of a split chop. So for them, they're just worried about getting as much loot as they can, getting that perfect loadout so they can get themselves a nice early game start into the mid.
And that's what it's all about, right? And getting those shield bubbles, which are so impactful. We talked about cow catchers, porta bunkers, right, that were used in the past. You don't have that anymore. And the only thing that you have to shield whenever you're out in the open, which that's kind of what Zero Build is all about, protecting yourself when you're in the open. If you can't find a building, you can't find cover, you got the shield bubbles, which allow for a very dynamic fight. That's one good thing I like about it, more so I think than the cow catchers and the porta forts that we had in the past. The bubbles, they only last for so long. You can also get pushed inside of them, and it allows for a very complex and awesome fight. Vortex up close and personal. That's going to be one kill coming his, or one elimination, excuse me, going his way. And a good start. We've already had quite a few duos drop off.
Yep, and they heard that action going, talking about more duos. Z-Link and Krizik's going to be one of the aggressive ones, or at least when it comes to builds, they're trying to take advantage very, very quickly of this next opportunity. They know a fight just went down, but how much damage was dealt? 170. There goes Volks. He gets sent right back down to the ground. Krizik's and Z-Link trying to use this 1v2, trying to use their numbers to their advantage. Great shots from Vortex, but the bait and switch was just too strong. That's going to be 6 more points to their total.
Z-Link just holding on with a sliver of health, so good on him to stay alive. Dropping in those moments could be tense. You don't know how many other teams are going to be around. Relay, talk about up close and personal, and unfortunately, he's going to fall. Static also as well. That's how quickly you can lose your life when it comes to Zero Build. You just don't have the option to build, unfortunately, and it's brutal. It's a brutal game mode.
Yeah, that's what you're going to see in this game mode versus others. If you get stuck on the outskirts of the zone, isn't necessarily a bad thing, but you have to realize there's going to be a lot of teams that are also hunting towards that edge of zone. That's where we're going to pick up a lot of those eliminations, because it isn't like you could build yourself a box. This is Zero Builds. Unless there's natural terrain, those prefabs that are already constructed there, you're going to have a hard time placing yourself in the center of zone. And I see Bizzle's having that struggle as well. He went down in the feed. JG9 and Oppose, I've seen them a few times during Heat number 1 trying to go ahead and find their stride. And some people could look at it glass half empty. I didn't go ahead and qualify in Heat number 1. I'm going down on myself. But other people could realize that's 12 of the top teams you don't have to worry about anymore, making it that much easier.
Oppose pushing up. Anon's already fell. This is the opportunity for Oppose to catch one off guard. He will. That's Z-Link, who ended up falling. Saw him making some impactful plays just a little bit earlier. The 2 AM boys have been doing an incredible job. They've got great representation, but Z-Link trying to stay alive. I think he should drop here, but it opens up an opportunity for Krizik's to maybe pounce on an enemy, and he'll do so. Oppose holding on for dear life, but maybe it was Krizik's the entire time, and he will fall. The 2 AM boys starting off well.
Yeah, that was a nice chance by Krizik's there, but the 250 effective shield and HP thanks to the overshield in Zero Builds makes it that much harder for a common Maven to take down not only one but 2 different players. So his show is going to come to an end, but luckily for him, he's trying to load up in another lobby very, very quick. I see you see something. Out Trump, American Dad. This is a favorite of mine. What are you thinking about yourself?
Let's get patriotic. We got American Dad in here. We got Out Trump. These two guys are incredible. Out Trump, been a big fan of him dating all the way back, I think, the middle of last year when he kind of caught my radar, especially in Zero Build tournaments. He not only is a great person, but an excellent, excellent player, specifically in Zero Build. Make no mistake, though, he can build too, right? He can do a little bit of both worlds, and you kind of have to, I think, if you're going to be successful in these tournaments, regardless. But playing with American Dad, he was great during some previous tournaments in the past. I don't know if I can necessarily say them, but he had great success in another series that was very well known. He didn't qualify for finals, but he ended up making it incredibly far. Back on board, though, Crackley, we've been seeing him. We started off with him. We're now back on board. Shield bubble poking in. Crackley backing away, waiting for someone to pounce, and it's getting chaotic. This is why I like the shield bubbles, man. The fights, they get complex.
Yeah, it adds another element, another depth of strategy, going in and out, bobbing and weaving. Crackley trying to do that to perfection, to trade for downs, but it's Crackley who gets the last laugh, quickly trying to get that res as well. And if you look at the mini-map, nobody is going to go ahead and threaten that one, so they get that second chance at life for Crackley and Ocus. They're using that Heat 1 knowledge, that experience from that first go-around to their advantage, trying to get those 3 points per elimination.
Nice shots coming out from Chimp as well as Bolts. It's going to be another duo falling to the wayside. Sitting at a pretty 4 elim, so what, you multiply that by 3, math is hard, but I think that's 12. So that's going to be 12 points going their way, and obviously working their way towards some placement points. 60 being for first place, not a bad amount to get. We saw 420, a little bit around 420 was the cutoff for the #1 spot in Heat #1. We'll see if we can maybe outpace that here as everybody's getting warmed up. The jitters are out of the way, right? This is Heat #2, so I think everybody's feeling way more confident coming in. Chimp taking some damage. He's going to be all right for the time being.
Yeah, that was Source in the distance along with Notch. 2 players formerly from that NA West region. This time around for FNCS, that's kind of one of the things I'm excited for, the combined regions, bringing it into one. Who's really going to kind of remake a name for themselves? Because you know who the big dogs were on NA West. We know who the big dogs were on NA East. Now with the combined regions, it's kind of like refresh, starting anew. It's Turtle Tavern, one of the known names on West, taking out Tax, one of our zero build hopefuls, trying to go ahead and this DreamHack not only earn himself $45,000 for first place, but trying to get that spot into Gamers 8. Let's talk about that a little bit more. $2 million up for grabs for Gamers 8.
It's nutty, man, to say the least. Turtle going for the poke. Moo, though, he's going to take the initiative, pushes out, takes down Turtle, and that's a bold push from Moo. He knew in that moment he had to stay up, Jacob, because Tax, he was down on all fours, down but not out. He gets picked up by Moo, and that's a confident push outside the bubble. But yeah, it's Gamers 8, right? The fact that it's $2 million, the fact that this is $250,000 leading into a $2 million tournament is just, it's incredible. You know, Fortnite is a wonderful game that has done so much to reinvent itself from, 4 or 5 years ago when it was first introduced as a BR, and then to now where it currently is. And, I've been there since the very beginning. I've really enjoyed it, Jacob, and I know you have as well, being one of the casters for FNCS. And this game is great. It is, and the fact that you can play for it for life-changing money is simply incredible. Cease on your screen. In the storm, he's going to be all right, and luckily it looks like it's clear paths up ahead.
Yep, one of our true OGs to the game right now. Cease, he's been around since the World Cup days, earning himself not only a spot to kind of play in that prestigious tournament, but top finish as well. Mega and Knifer, an interesting duo here, but not really skipping a beat from builds to zero builds. Really trying to come out with a top spot. They finished in 20th in Heat #1. So you got to think the math. With the top 12 teams gone, you got to think anybody in the top 20 has got to think they have that best chance to earn themselves a spot. But honestly, with a lot of the experience that these players have learned, because you got to think a lot of them may not have practiced zero builds until coming into the tournament. They might think they're quick learners and trying to learn it on the fly with 4 different heats.
Yeah, which adds an interesting conversation. We don't necessarily have to get too deep with it, but it's like the transition from, going from build over towards no build, or excuse me, zero build, what the transition rate is for that and how success will follow, right? If you're successful in FNCS play, can you be successful in zero build? I think so, because it's the same game. It's just played a little bit differently. Got to be a bit more cautious. Paper on your screen, Jamper, who were really on the bubble, right, of qualifying. They now go for their second attempt in Heat #2. This is a solid duo, Jacob, like one that I highly expect to qualify here.
I was really hoping he would hire the NPC, right? I was really hoping. Can you imagine 3v2s running around the map, anything like that? I know there's another NPC on the other side of the map, but talk about a 3v2. It's going to be a 2v1, and it's lights out just like that. Mega and Knifer, they know the importance of eliminations in this scenario. Once they realize you go the early game, the mid game is gone, then they can start playing with the focus on the placement. But they're just trying to get every one of these opportunistic points as possible, along with Jace and Anand. We've seen a lot of these players that we're seeing here early on in Heat #2 come that close to that top finish in Heat 1.
Jace and Anand, a scary duo to play against. Whenever they start hunting you down, man, you got to be ready for them because they're going to hit you hard. See Prospering falling. Prospering, you want to talk about an OG. Unfortunately, game 1, it seems as if he's going to about fall. Hopefully his teammate's still alive. We're pushing up, though. Bush is gone. Prospering's down. This is actually the perspective of Prospering dropping a little bit earlier. One more player to wrap up. Candlin wants to maybe hop down there, but does he want to fully commit? Because you don't know where the other one's going to be remaining, and yeah, they'll go for the finish. I don't know where Prospering's teammates at.
Yeah, I definitely, probably even kind of, maybe on the side of mega city. I see somebody towards the outskirts, but I really like the idea. No hesitation, realizing your teammates down, especially in zero builds where it's not easy to get away. You have to know when to kind of abandon. You know when you got to kind of let loose the little bit of kind of weakling that you have on the side. I don't want to call any player a weakling here in this situation, but if somebody goes down, you got to realize when to cut your losses.
That's fair, right? But then do you double back? Do you get the reboot card? That's also another thing to think about. And will he be able to do so? Does it get camped? Maybe. I don't know. You know, Cease back on your screen. Decent game for them so far. They're sitting at 5 elims. We're getting down to now 45 players left in the lobby. Make that 43 that they have to get through if they so decide. They're going to be playing the Storm. They're pretty comfortable where they're currently at. No rush to get in. It's not taking for too much at the moment anyways. Paper and Jamper, though, might be in the vicinity where they could be. So there is an opportunity. Maybe we see Cease, Paper, Jamper all fight it out. I don't know, in maybe a couple minutes.
Yeah, especially depending on where the zone's actually going to finish pulling at. Luckily for them, they find themselves a flopper. Making sure Jamper spreads it on over to Paper, trying to equalize their HP using that shield fish as well. You got to think like why he's going to use the shield fish just to kind of carry back open the splashes. You've already go ahead and called out the importance of the shield bubbles. We've already seen it through very many different phases of the game from early, mid to late. And then you're rounding out with the heavy sniper. That's going to be my biggest question mark. But for a player like Jamper, all it does take is one sniper. You get the refresh, you get some extra heals, and now finding the Easter. Happy Easter for everybody else. He gets himself a prize, being able to last longer in the Storm.
I can't believe it's already Easter, man. Blows my mind, dude. Time goes by way too fast, right? Incredibly fast. Really I questioned what Prospering. We saw him fall. Merrick is actually on your screen now, so he did disengage, and he is going back, so he's going to be able to potentially get the card if he can, and maybe go for the reboot, which luckily he's got a reboot van right there, and luckily for him, nobody in the vicinity, so he should get a free refresh. Shield bubble just for extra caution, but good on him. So Prospering falls. Merrick, though, makes the right play, disengages, comes back, and now they live to fight again.
Yeah. Going to be a second chance at life. And that's one thing as well that makes it a little bit easier with everybody so focused on their position, getting their nooks, getting their grannies. And talk about that. That's Moo attacks. They take down Cease. They take down Nevs. The NA-EU combination getting sent back to the lobby as their first run comes to an end. They scored about 41 points in that game, though, so you got to be able to hold your head high.
Not bad, 7 elimination game coming out from them. Yeet has fallen, so that leaves Sods to kind of hold his ground if he can, maybe disengage if need be. Connect Blade to do so. And he does, in fact, get away for the time being. I'm sure he's going to poke back in, but he doesn't want to deal with that duo that's out, or at least just behind him. Out Trump does fall, and American Dad as well. So that makes me sad, right? That was a duo that I was super happy to see. Still happy to see them play. But 43, or at least placing top 24, not the placing they want, I'm sure of it. But you got 10 games to play, right? So that's only game 1. They'll be all right, I'm sure.
Yeah, and if there's any time that you are going to go down in a game like this, you want to go down very, very, right, I guess in this portion of the game, right? Because that leaves a great opportunity to pick up points in the next game. If you go ahead and play this game out much, much longer, you don't get the points that you want. You kind of call it a dud, but Scram, he gets attacked. He gets caught not looking on either side. Tripper is spread out from him, so that's at least going to give Tripper a chance to pick up some points here as a solo. And this puts us into another situation I'm talking about as he threads the narrowly misses the first shot, but gets the second one as well. That's 132 with the heavy snipe.
Yeah, not bad. He's, I'm sure, wishing he got the headshot, but he doesn't get it, and that is what it is. Into the bush they go, so Tripperin. That was a tough... I mean, he really can't disengage, can he? I mean, I guess he could, you know, follow the outskirts of the zone if he decides to, but he wants to stay put where he's at. But those guys in the bush, they're not moving. Fletch and Co., they're going to stay where they're currently at, so Tripperin has to make a decision. Does he want to engage? Does he want to give away his position? But surely Fletch know where they're at, and if they took down Tripperin's teammate... are they justified in making the push?
Yeah, you'd think so, but my thing is, do they have a kinetic blade? Do they have resources? What do they have on their side that's probably preventing them? The knowledge that they don't have there in the situation as Axe Force goes down. That's Pablo Wingu, and Bevy's trying to go ahead and tackle the players going for those mythic overclocked rifles, but Vortexers with a shot from above is going to go ahead and end that run, quickly popping that slurp juice, giving him that much longer that he can last in the storm. Axe Force probably trying to do the same, which gives him a second opportunity here with that new island rift.
Notice a lot of the fights, Jacob, are taking place just on the edge of the storm, right? I mean, these guys are absolutely playing the gatekeepers, whether that's for eliminations or that's for them to avoid getting too deep into zones so they don't get, you know, pincered in between multiple teams. I don't know. Either both of those reasonings are absolutely justified, but a lot of fights taking place on the edge. Meanwhile, though, Mama Benji on your screen. Love that. Okay, representing. No eliminations, but you know what? They're going to come.
Hey, 60 points for the win. You don't need an elimination to kind of get that top spot here in the game.
That's right.
Especially for Mama Benji, Fishy, and Togo. To go. Is that to go? What do you think that is? I need to learn. I need to research here. You're gonna give me a reason to research.
But I also like Togo as well. I think that's a fun name. Oh no!
Oh please!
Hey, I love it.
I'm here for it.
I love it. Oh, I do. And you got a team?
Yes.
Yeah, there's one team.
The same page. There's one team that is just south of them. They could probably think it's empty towards the outside and probably use that as a rotational pathway, especially since it is one of those hot drops with hot zones. Or if there's any more of those floating around, that shields, that's probably splashes, maybe some loadout that they could use. And they're gonna go use the kinetic rock as well. Everybody really trying to think outside of the box here, just trying to go ahead and take it right out of the water, and then they're gonna use that to try to rotate in depending how far they are.
I love that strategy.
Yeah, pizza
just hide in the corner. That's my kind of play, dude. My kind of play.
There we go. I love rotating with these, especially in zero build. Oh, fell off a little too early. It's okay. You got aerialist. You got yourself a surprise too. Maybe get yourself an Easter basket. Carry those for later. Easter's right around the corner.
It's a portion. Bush Wookie hiding out. Knows there's going to be a team in the other bush, but they're going to make a rotate. There's face clips. I know people are asking about them in chat. Here you go. Get a chance to watch them. No eliminations for the two of them just yet, but most, a lot of teams, they'll focus on getting the bulk of their elims when those zones, start getting chaotic at the end. Nades out to clear the bush area. I think a couple of hit markers will come in. Does break shield. Kinetic blade out. Clips on the attack.
Did he really get the elim for that? I don't know what just happened. That brought me back. That was a feeling of deja vu. Brought me back a few seasons when you kind of march 60 meters, you throw them in the sky, and they prematurely explode. And that was Bolts. Yes, that was Bolts that went down. And this is the team I'm actually excited to see. You got the last FNCS West champion with Bolts, paired with one of the most consistent players I've seen from the former NA East region. You bring that together, and that's the type of experience I want to see paired with these West and East regions come together for NA overall. But Chimp with a surprise
Get
attack.
Out of the way.
Goes down. Bubble shield out. Shield fish. That's what I like about the shield fish. That how quick you're able to pop them to try to stay alive. Clips and Vatorian. Not going to go on the chase. And I like the decision to not chase, because they could easily put themselves in a bad spot.
Absolutely, yeah. Don't get too greedy. We've seen some teams in Heat 1 get a little bit too greedy, right, and push out, and ultimately ended up being their undoing. You don't want to do that. Back away. And Clips, Subordinate played very, very smart. We saw them a little bit earlier, right? They threw out the nades. You mentioned, right, kind of like a bit of a flashback coming out. Now they're doing the same thing by rotating out. They don't care necessarily about that fight. The fights will come. Right now, their focus, get the positioning first, then play Gatekeeper after that. The teams will rotate into you. You'll pick up your elims. Catch them off guard. That's going to be the play to make. Now, to go, we saw Mama Benji to go. They were hiding in the corner. They've clearly been found out. To go's down. Mama Benji forced to fight it out solo.
Oh, look at Crackly and Ocus. It's just like taking candy from a baby, running from one direction, zero builds, wasn't able to turn around and really do anything to react to that. Mama Benji Fish goes down. And I said it at the beginning of this game. I'll say it again. Crackly and Ocus just shy of getting their qualification spot in Heat number 1. They're out for revenge. They don't want to have to worry about playing tomorrow. They want to be able to relax. They're already missing out on that duo Cash Cup, and for them, they don't want to miss out on any more.
Pose back on your screen.
Bush,
JG9 as well. Bush fighting. Oh, shield bubble's gone, though. That's going to make things a little bit awkward for him. Does Oppose play the zone? And he does. He goes into the storm. It doesn't work out, but that could have been, Jacob, a great play. A very, very five-head play to make. Unfortunately, these opponents that he was going against were just a little bit too ahead. Now we're getting down to the thick of it, right? 13 duos left, 24 players remaining. It's about to get spicy.
I don't know who that is on the other side that's kind of at the north side of zone by themselves. That's good loot they can go get from the players that we saw go down previously. Paper's going to get dropped off in the feed. Prospering and Merak, they get that second chance at life. We saw Prospering go down very, very early on, and now they're trying to pick up even more placement points. Chimp goes down, which leaves Bolts by himself. He's looking at the backside of zone. That's loot you have to grab. Almost that stage in the game. You gonna go?
Saborsha back on your screen. Clips. They're just playing so well. And it's mainly like, obviously they've got the gun skill. We know that very well, right? But their positioning, Jacob, has been wonderful. They haven't been overextending themselves. They're not taking excessive risk. And they're putting them in positions to take smart fights. In this case, right, a 2v1. But they do have to get over this high ground. And that's not going to be easy. Now 4 straight into 2. Now he has no choice but to fight. But luckily he gets the blind side up to 1. He's going to manage to get the drop onto 1. So that's great on him. Now a couple more to get through. But do they push? They're going to have to dip. Saborsha, he's getting lit up.
That was tough. That was just a tough situation. Watching one direction and Clips and Salvatore come from a whole nother. Instantly trying to go in the shield bubble, but still outside of the zone. Great wherewithal. Try to get the splashes. They know they still have more to go, and they got a battle right in front of them that is inevitable. Down goes Clips, trying to turn and burn with a fadeaway shot, but he gets sent right back to the lobby nonetheless. Marak and Prospering putting a hurting on everybody else before going down to Crackley and Okus. Everything always comes back down to these two.
Oh, it does. I mean, seriously, they were there in Heat 1. Now they're here in Heat 2. Jacob and Okus, he's going to have to back away. Can't get Crackley in time. He's gone. So now, can Okus carry the weight of the duo on his shoulders? Can he do it? I think so. There's only 6 teams left, 9 eliminations to get through, make that 8, as we saw Bear just fall a little bit earlier. Source is going for the revive. He can do this. Okus can absolutely, and even if he doesn't, Jacob, at this point, all players remaining have got a phenomenal finish for game 1.
Yeah, there's still a good amount of points left on the board for anybody here still into the top 5. And we've already seen 7 points be the difference from qualifying in Heat number 1 to Heat number 2. Even though this is only the first game of Heat 2, those are points you can't leave at the board at any stage of the game, because it can have you looking back, figure out what could I have done different. These are the moments that really separate players that are going to qualify from possibly not in our top 5.
Ooh, Fletch and Co., they have got a great position below the bridge. Source, Knock, most likely going to go straight into them. It's going to be a tough fight for Moo and Tax. Like a tough fight into the water, straight into a team below the bridge. I believe Tax is already being shot at. They're being focused by 2 separate duos. I would be amazed if Moo and Tax make it out of this, but this could be an opportunity. Source has found the duo down low. He's firing. Moo and Tax, they're pushing up.
Yep, he has that exotic sniper, but in comes Fletch from nowhere, from above, hits the dunk, but gives up the overclock pulse rifle. No chance to turn and get the revive. That's Moo and Tax. You were just talking about him. From 10 eliminations to 12, getting themselves into the top 3. Okus, the solo, trying to go ahead and hide behind the reboot van. Tax goes down. This is looking like a solo FNCS right before our very eyes.
Wow.
In goes Jace. Out goes Jace. Back to the lobby. 1v1. And Okus clutches up as a solo.
Wow. Okus clutches up as a solo. He was going against Moo in the end, Jacob, and he made it happen again. Those bubble fights are so incredible to watch. Good job to Okus. I question, would he be able to carry the weight of his duo on his shoulders? He did it.
That was huge. 76 points, not one for Moo and Tax. Even more for Okus and Crackley, though. And for Sizlucky and Degen, this is going to be lobby number 2. 7 eliminations for them. They got themselves 21 points off straight eliminations alone with 2 shield bubbles. They have the legendary Slurp Juice and the Kinetic Blade. They can easily get themselves to zone.
That's right, Sizlucky, Degen, they were so close to qualifying. Will they be able to break the barrier this time around? Well, game 1 at least is looking great for them. Watching the end game, as you said, Jacob. Playing it slow, a little bit different terrain, right, from the last end zone that we just saw that ended on a bridge, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Bully and Co. going to be inside of the bush, so they're going to be taking their time. And they do have quite a ways to travel. The good news is, though, there's not a lot of teams in front of them. They can actually take the high ground over everybody if they play it right, but of course, they don't have the map like we do.
Yeah, right now, I think for them, it's about getting that information, even probably using the bubble shield just a little bit too long there. But Quinn and Vert, I'm a huge fan of Quinn. You know, ever since I got into Fortnite, he welcomed me with open arms, making sure any question that I had didn't go unanswered. Teaming up with Vert, one of the more aggressive players I've seen, at least in builds, using those frags. He has 6. First read's going to go out, trying to make it hard for them to go up and over. With the Kinetic Blaze, that one's going to go through easy. The top 6 in a zone like this, everybody's going to be staring down at each other just like this battle that we see before our eyes.
Breaking the root pieces, trying to get a peek, but unfortunately they're going to be on the opposite side. They'll break away. Sizlucky, Degen on the hunt. Vert and Quinn, though, they've got the low ground. You have to favor Sizlucky and Degen in this moment, being where they're currently at. Degen, we'll see one poking up. That's going to be Vert. He'll take some damage. Degen will back them down a little bit, but they're going for the push. They know that that early tick of damage, it was enough to justify a push in a moment. Sizlucky up close and personal. Quinn is down, so that leaves Vert by himself. 1v2. And I believe he's going to go ahead and dip on the outskirts. And I believe he's juked. He has been spotted, but Sizz, Lucky, Degen, they've got to be very careful about how they approach this.
I think everybody has to be careful. You look at the zone, you better bring your ice skates, because this one is going to go down to one of those types of zones where you're slipping and sliding, trying to gain your footing, and it's not going to be possible. You don't have a cone, you don't have builds. And the players that are in the middle of the island right now, Bully and Muzz, they're going to have one of the biggest advantages because they don't have to go very far before they go ahead and reach. And they even got the overclock pulse rifles, 2 different shield bubbles. They just got to be able to close this one out, and they reach themselves into the top 5. Everybody alive, though. You can see Quantity and Threats over on the other side. They're trying to use the truck as much cover as possible. They hired them. DNA Alex and DNA on TikTok have hired themselves some extra help. This is what I want to see, and it's actually the one that heals. They can actually try to survive. They got some extra heals thanks to the NPC.
If it works, trust me, it's going to be meta for the next remaining games, maybe even finals, okay? We're down to just 5 teams left, and Quanti's up close. He's trying to make it happen. He can't just yet, but will they get at least a down? They do onto DNA. And now, one more to take down, and both of them have been finished off on the DNA crew. Quanti down himself, though. It's getting chaotic. There's not a lot of coverage. Teams are taking advantage of the skirmish. They're going in for the third party. Threats has moved out. He's now down. 3 duos remaining. Make that 2. Pilkey, he needs a strong finish here. They were just on the cusp of qualifier number 1. Having a strong finish in game 1, Jacob, could be it. This is going to be the finale.
Look, they're just trying to go ahead and go over. I talked about the ice. They're just trying to go out. 6 splashes. Slurp Juice on the other side. Pilkey and Easy, though, they have so much familiarity when it comes to 0 builds, specifically when it comes to Pilkey. 9 eliminations. Into the top 2. This is fighting for those extra points that I'm talking about to get yourself in. But Billy's trying to stagger himself back. Shots are there, but they're too far separate. In and outside of the bubbles. A huge shot from Easy's going to be landed. The down goes through. Him and Pilkey. Candy is being taken from the babies as they get that victory royale.
Wonderful, wonderful job from Pilkey and Easiness there. They secure game number 1. That sets them up strongly to potentially have another great 9 games, right? It's 9 games. It's going to be grueling no matter which way you look at it. It's 3 hours of total playtime, so stamina, it's going to be an absolute factor. But regardless, though, great finish from them, but also a good finish from Bully. And I did like what him and his duo were trying to do in that moment. They split up with the kinetic blade, so they were trying to pincer in, right? The duo Pilkiness and Easy. But great game so far. We've only seen 1. We saw 2 different at least lobbies taking place. Mega was having putting on an absolute clinic with the kinetic blade, putting in work, as well as the Guru, right? Pushing into the bush. It breaks away. Prospering falls. His teammate, though, stayed alive long enough to carry the weight.
Yeah, and honestly, we even got that res and the reboot right back on up, giving them an extra chance to pick up some more eliminations and some more points overall. And one of EU's finest, Pablo, Wingu, and Bevy is trying their hardest. I put out a tweet saying, who do you think is going to qualify? Who do you think is going to get the top 10 and get themselves some money from this DreamHack, get themselves a spot in the Gamer's Egg? He was confident enough to say it. Myself and Pablo Wingu are going to have ourselves a field day in this tournament.
Moo and Tax, we saw him a little bit earlier. Second place to that of Okus. He finishes off as a solo, and he makes it happen and gets to 60 points for the victory royale. Wonderful work. I mean, really, we are seeing some great fights, wonderful games so far, and that's only the first 30 minutes, Jacob. We still have 2.5 hours remaining of gameplay, and I mean, I can't wait for more, but we're going to have to wait, right? We got to take a little bit of a break. When we come back, though, some more Fortnite action will continue here for DreamHack. It's been a lot of fun. Don't go anywhere. And welcome back, everybody, to DreamHack featuring Fortnite. They're in San Diego playing. They're having a good time, and I'm having a good time as well. Taylor Reflections Double joined by Jacob MVPR. Saw the first 30 minutes of gameplay, and I had a blast, man. Lots of great fights, intense moments, and that's what Zero Build brings to the table. We're about to go into our next 30 minutes, Jacob, and what did we learn, right, from the first 30? Anything that kind of stuck out to you?
Honestly, two things. I learned it from Heat 1, though, not necessarily this first 30, though.
Sure.
Is
That's
shield
fair.
bubbles are almost a must. Being able to kind of recycle those. So in terms of a refresh, you're not looking for mats here in Zero Builds. You're looking to see if anybody is carrying any heals or those shield bubbles overall. Second thing is getting those eliminations while you can. You're going to end up in some battles where you're so far out from everybody else. You got to pick those eliminations up quick.
Sometimes not taking the fight is the best fight you can take, right? Crackly, Ocus, they're going to be in first place. Ocus ended up holding on tight as Crackly fell a little bit early on in that game one we saw, and we kind of watched them from the very start to the end. Moo and Tax, they will have second place. Good on them. Moo ended up getting second place to Crackly and Ocus in that game number one, and we go down the list a little bit more. We see Cease also making it through, and Kanata also making an appearance in sixth place. Let's look at 9 through 16, Jacob.
Yeah, I mean, I like my French-Canadian duo, Fatch and Pam Stu. They've been kind of one of those teams that have been together for such quite a long time, but it doesn't matter the mode, doesn't matter the format, but they're always in discussion to take the tournament overall. And I think even though if they didn't qualify in heat number one, if the worst luck happens to them and they don't qualify here in heat number two, they have 2 more heats on the day tomorrow. I expect to see them in the finals.
Yeah, just to reiterate, like Jacob said, right, you got 2 more heats tomorrow, so we'll have 24 more duos making it tomorrow. Actually, excuse me, 26, because we'll have 14 from that heat number 4. And everybody playing, right, not only for $250,000, which will be earned on Sunday, but also playing for that top 10 position, so they can go to Gamers 8. Check them out, gamers8.gg. $2 million tournament. A lot of money on the line. But let's get into it, right? Our next 30 minutes of gameplay, and Smelly Nelly, loving the name there. Competing. Clips up top. Clips played so well last time, having the high ground. If I'm Smelly Nelly and co, the zip line's not the play.
No, it's definitely not the play. They're waiting from the top. Clips landing the first couple of shots. And as soon as he took some damage, you see the awareness from Sabotorian. They quickly get the bait and switch, but just like Jaws in the water, look at the mini-map. Somebody smells it, and they're trying to play janitor, clean it up.
Clips is going straight into him as well, so that's going to be a fight that's going to take place relatively soon. We transfer over to Mega City. It's going to be highly contested. Pretty much every single drop. Chimp, who had a great game with Bolts in game number 1, we kind of followed them all the way through in our feature game. Now, once again, on your screen, on top of the building, they will see Super Key & Co. is going to be just up ahead. So they're going to play this very well. And look at that, Sabotorian. Clips do drop to Tripperin. Tripperin gets both of them.
Yeah, huge fight was taken out of them. Honestly, that was those opportunities I was talking about. When you realize a fight went down, something like that, you have to strike. And right there again, right before our very eyes, they spot Bolts out by himself at the top of the building. They immediately use their kinetic blades to close the distance, forcing Bolts to drop all the way down low and reunite with Chimp, which isn't necessarily a bad play, but it does give priority on over to lane, on over to Super Key to go ahead and rotate first, or even stay if they want to.
Hope Chimp doesn't make any drastic moves up that zip line. We've already seen that happen once, just a little bit earlier. It didn't work out. Moving over, though, Mega doing some good work. Nice damage down. Sev just trying to get out of the way if he possibly can. Knifer's going to be going up close and personal. Sev pretty much dead to rights here, and he is going to fall and soon be fully eliminated, I'm sure of it. Now take a look at the map, and I believe, yeah, his partner is totally disengaged. So Sev, he'll sacrifice his life. We see this so often, right? You just cannot sit there and fight. If your duo goes down and you've already have distance between them, there's no point in trying to re-engage, Jacob. Get out of the way, come back maybe for the reboot card, live to fight another day.
Yeah, honestly, at this point in time, I think Mega and Knifer in these heats, and I didn't see too much of them specifically when they were shown on stream in heat number 1, but it just seems like they're just getting aggressive. They're taking advantage of their skill level. When they have that separation from anybody else in the lobby, they're trying to pounce. They realize when the top 12 teams are already out, this is going to be their moment to try to kind of qualify just straight off elimination points, so to say. As I don't know if that's Mizo that went down again to Mega or not. Was that the same elimination, but Chimp and Bolt still over here towards Mega City. Just trying to get that extra bit of shields. When it comes to Mega City, there's going to be a lot of loot left here on the map, on the floor, from chests, floor spawns, or loot that just simply wasn't taken. So if you go ahead and enter Mega City without shields or HP, it'd be a perfect time to try to scavenge around and get what you can.
Yeah, that was Mega picking up Seb's duo, I do believe. So they were able to hunt him down, and unfortunately take them out. So that duo will be eliminated. Super Moose and Co. did just pick up another duo themselves, who were just down below, and we do see on the map there's going to be a team just ahead of them, and I think they are very much so aware of that. So do they, go for the fight? Well, not just yet. They really can't, unless they want to take the kinetic blade and push into it, but that's not going to be the smartest decision. And look at this lobby, already pretty light, Jacob, right? We're down to 32 players, so we got into it a little bit late, but I'm here for it.
No, I do agree. To me, it's not so much that we got into it late, but I think it's depending on the lobby, depending on the teams that are in there, you're going to realize that these top competitors, specifically the one on screen, Scram Trippin', again, if they feel like you're isolated, if they feel like somebody is an easy target away from everybody else in the lobby, and you can kind of tell, depending on where these zones are pulling, where that slower side of the zone is, where people are slowly going to be left behind the rest of the lobby, where they can try to pounce. And that's exactly why you see them sitting on the outskirts. Mega and Knife are doing the same thing. They already took down Mama Benji Fishy for one.
Yeah.
They're just trying to find the second player left alive.
And Bolt's also doing a wonderful job. I saw him pick up a couple of elims in the elimination feed, so good on them. Mega's got a team just down below. And that's going to be P-God. That is going to be a tough fight, especially if they choose to full send it into him, which... do they know they're there? Surely they do. Mega has spotted him. That's going to be a good tag onto one. P-God, he's going to deploy the shield bubble, try to get out of the way, and they do disengage. So this fight is going to go on for a little bit longer.
Not very many places you can go. And for them, you see them trying to go in, grab what they can, grab at least something from this fight if they're going to trade off what little bit of damage Mega did take care in that situation before they try to disengage. And you got to realize, in a lot of these fights, when... you should take him and when you shouldn't. Zone's going to pull away yet again for a lot of these players. That's going to force the rotation out. For P-God, he's just getting tagged up, trying to use that shield bubble with the car. That combination is going to allow for some rotation. Well, is the sacrifice worth it with Knife and Mega hot on the heels?
Wow. They are pushing, Jacob. They are going for it, brother.
A horror movie.
I'm telling you, man, I'm scared for them. And I believe they got a card to their right. So from one duo, that's going to be Mega and Co. now into another. And they're just like, can we catch a break? Get me out of here. And they successfully do. Thank goodness, man. But, I mean, that just comes to show you the composure, right? King as well as P-God had in that moment. The fact that they're able to get away despite two duos converging on them, despite them getting tagged first when Mega decided to engage on them a little bit earlier. Wonderful job getting away. And from one truck to another, Tavern also leaving with justice. And because cars are usable, we're going to see them, obviously be used quite a bit here, which, hey, no harm, no foul. I think it's a great play.
Yep. They're just kind of hunting right now, looking for anybody on the outside.
Oh, you nasty man.
He really showed you up. You said he won't. He said bet. How much did you guys bet off that one? Because he definitely won. You got a guy in breakfast in the morning. Something. JD9 opposed. They're trying to take advantage of the damage that was already pulled out. That's Bolt and Chimp. They're also separated. This could be their chance to strike. And honestly, Chimp goes down to Tavern. Opposed and JG9 complete the full-on wipe with help they didn't even know they had. Ooh.
Go for the bush shot, a little bit of a blind fire, but doesn't connect. No harm, no foul. They do back away. They do find a building, which is going to be great. I'm curious if we see kind of a little bit of what we saw in Heat 1, just shredding through those builds if you can and eliminating whoever's going to be inside. But yeah, the 2 AM boys have just really tore it up. They've been playing incredibly well. These guys on your screen, though, they did a great job in Heat number 1, and I'll double check. I want to say maybe even 13th place, 14th, but at least top 20 for sure. I mean, they were so close to making it through, and they were in fact 13th. So that hurts, but it also gives them confidence in Heat 2, Jacob.
Just want to ask, is this gonna work? I'm so invested in Fernie and
staying up top on the Raptors.
Yeah, is this gonna work? They're right at the edge of the zone, so in theory they could stay there, but is somebody gonna forget? And this is the thing as well for a lot of oh my god, this is the thing as well as Justice just took a big tag. Tavern trying to play hero, he goes down on the edge of the shield bubble, and that's another superstar like team that gets sent right back to the lobby. At least they got some points for their efforts.
It just comes to show you how tight these lobbies are and how competitive, right? I mean, it's not going to be easy. Nothing's guaranteed. You throw all that history away that maybe you're successful in the past. That doesn't mean you're going to be successful today. But like you said, I mean, that's no dig on Turtle and Co. They played incredibly well, and they do get a top 13 finish. So they're sitting okay, no matter which way you look at it. And you question, will this play work? Well, we're about to find out. There are 3, maybe 4 duos in this location.
I'm just getting like flashbacks, nightmares when I play in these zero builds. No matter the tournament, I got swearing, hiding in a building, and that's the thing I was kind of getting at. Playing builds, you kind of forget a lot of these hiding spots in these zero builds type tournaments. Anything is usable, especially in these prefabs, especially in these POIs that have the natural made covers. And exactly that. Trippin's going to kind of thread the needle there. Only 126 damage. At least they know that team is out towards the backside. But there's going to be a lot of teams that have to continue to travel as the zone pulled almost as far east as it will go in this game.
From the... Oh, I thought he fired, but he didn't. I believe there's still a team just below him, and I don't know if he's really aware of that. He's lining up the headshot. He'll miss. But still keeping that pressure on. Any amount of damage you do, right? You're bleeding through those shields. You're bleeding through the med miss, whatever kind of pills that you have if you're the other team. And Trippin's feeling confident enough. He saw flesh, he saw white, so he's going to go ahead and make that push forward. And this should be a successful fight, but I mean, you know, nothing's guaranteed.
That's so smart because of how weak that team was. If there was anybody else over there, you would hear shots. You would hear somebody try to clean that one up, and they didn't hear anything. That's what gives them the confidence to try to at least rotate towards that south side. Worst comes to worst, they have one team ready to contest them, hiding behind the rock. That's going to be a big 62 damage, but thanks to Overshield, Scram's trying to survive. Bubble Shield after Bubble Shield going out. Slurp Juice is trying to get both their shields and HP up, using every bit of heals and resource that Tripper and Scram have to their name.
Scram up in the air. Scram pushing forward, but from the bubble come P-God. He'll take the bush, and now he's got to kind of stay put and hoping maybe P-God make a mistake and push into him. Still hiding behind the shield bubble, though. Now, Scram has been spotted, maybe. We saw 2 AM boys have been eliminated. Just saw that in elimination feed. Scram is in a tough spot. He really is. He put himself here. He's got one team to his right, another team to his left. And at a certain point, Jacob, he's going to have to make a decision to push one of them.
There's so many people on the outside. I thought it was done when that shield bubble went away, but a second one going out, using them to kind of rotate one to the next, kind of using it like tunneling when it came to the regular build mode, but really forced to think outside of the box when it comes to zero build. Trying to even scrounge up the rest of it, but the high ground goes to Fernie and Arctic. As soon as this bubble shield goes down, if they don't have another one, this fight is inevitable. And we're in the top 4.
We're in the top 4. I mean, this is going to be such a tense moment. It's coming down to this. This is most likely game 2 for these guys. Sods hiding behind the only cover. Like you said, fire is just behind them, so that's going to be big. Now we'll be on board with Tripper. Nice tags. She'll bubble out one to his left. That's going to be King is pretty much out in Narnia at this point. He's got to come all the way back into the fight, so that's going to be tough for him. P-God is down. Tripper and will go for the finish. That puts him at 3. That's 7 for this duo. Now into the shield bubble for a couple tags on P-God and Co. That's going to be Tripper in and out of the bubble, but God putting up a wonderful fight. He falls. That's going to be now, I believe, Bond, who's going to be putting up a good fight. Not going to happen. Scram. Last remaining for his teammate. Can he get Tripper back into the fight? I think he's too far gone.
Somehow, some way, King is still surviving on the outside of zone. Probably out of the hills. He only has half the HP left. Scram's going to spot him out, trying to go up and over, but still into the palm of Scram's hands, who ends that one. But he has 1 HP and a huge dream. There goes that chug cannon on the other side as well, but zone's going to close. This is going to be one for the making. They have 10 eliminations and a top 3 finish so far.
Yeah, already 30 points. Oh, no! I'm close! Yo, he came out of nowhere! And Tripperin, he will fall, but a heroic effort nonetheless. And now we go on to Yeet, who, well, he's going to yeet himself straight into a couple. There they are, right for the picking, and Yeet Sods will take game number 2, and not a bad game coming from them, but heartbreaking for Tripperin, who was doing everything he could. 1 HP in a dream, and that dream fell short.
That was like a jump scare coming at you live. Didn't expect it. I didn't even see it coming, and we have multiple observers in the lobby. So that is going to be one of those finishes that we're going to remember for a very, very long time, and one of those that Sods really did a good job of really taking advantage of, realizing the situation, realizing how weak the rest of the lobby was, and great job to really close that one out.
Move on to our second lobby. Zero build. Hey, he's going to hold his ground tight, and he takes down 1. I believe that was another 2 AM member. They represent. They're strong. They are thick out there today. Mezzo. Haven't seen him yet. Obviously the build, or excuse me, the teammate of Zero build, and see American Dad up ahead. And for Mezzo, Zero build, they're just going to take their time. No reason to rush. They've got their eliminations. They got at least 2 off the rip, so that's not bad. Believe it or not, 2 eliminations isn't bad in these stacked lobbies as they are.
I just want them to turn around. Is the vault open? I'm trying to lean. I'm sitting here. ducking, weaving, because that could be a great strategy. You know, with the vault's not up, if no one was able to kind of get it, that could be their chance to kind of wait for that opportunity for somebody to kind of lounge around, stroll in that direction, trying to get the vault and get taken down overall. But American Dad out Trump. They want nothing of it. For them, it's all about that rotation. Probably wait for those eliminations and naturally present themselves throughout the course of the game.
And they didn't have the strongest game one, I think, finishing off in 46th place. This game, a little bit better, right? 28th place, but no eliminations. They definitely are going to have to step it up in some way if they want to contend for top 12. And honestly, I would be fine with them breaking into top 20 and finishing there, not making any assumptions. They can absolutely qualify here in Heat 2, right? They're good enough to do so. I've seen them play many times in the past, but they're going to have to do a little bit more. But there's plenty of time. A lot of elims come towards the tail end. We saw at least 6 picked up a little bit earlier from Tripper and Co., who managed to pick up at least 4, 5, 6 maybe in that final zone. They don't get the victory, but they pick up at least 16 or so eliminations. So a great game coming out from them. But either way, though, enough about that, Thug Alex. They're going to be on your screen. Kanata does pick up 1 too. So nice to see him getting back into the mix. And he was top 10.
Yeah, no, and I like you kind of bringing up Kanata and Agers right now. If the tournament were to end, they're outside of that bubble yet again. And those are 2 superstar-like names when it comes to Fortnite build competitive that you would kind of expect to qualify. Kanata qualifying for almost every single FNCS that he's played in. And so for them, they have a huge kind of story to kind of continue to cement, going from one mode to the next as runs on, and Hades gets sniped down. Hades going to be left by himself, an angle that they weren't ready for, and in comes the attack. That's Blur Antics, one of the 0 build players that I've seen for a very long time, matched with Thoric, who's our FNCS West champion from last season.
Sounds like a championship duo to me, brother. Blur Antics, yeah, I've been watching him for quite some time, and hey, he's good. Now going, I think, for the Mythic suppressed assault rifle, if I'm not mistaken, which, in my opinion, is a beamer. I know you've got a different opinion, but they're going to forego that pass up on it. But the vault, right, that's the big thing that they wanted, and they're going to get it. So Mega City is a hotly contested area, and for Blur Antics, Thoric, excuse me, to do as well as they did, and to live as long as they have, and to get Volt plus elims, like, hey, this is a duo to watch out for. They're scary.
Yeah, and I like the kind of loadout between them two. Blur's not scared to continue to go have that snipe in his back pocket, bypassing a lot of the gold. They want to continue to kind of rotate as quickly as they can. Thoric's going to go ahead and be the player to scavenge a lot of that gold, because you got to think, if Blur already has the augments that he wants, leaving that gold on over to Thoric to re-roll and play a game of Yahtzee all he wants to try to get the augments that he needs, that's that perfect strategy and really letting your teamwork shine.
Talked a lot about 2 a.m. Let's talk about Dignitas. Duke is here to represent, and they've been playing incredibly well. I'll go to, ask at least, or at least I want to look up where they placed in Heat number 1. And number 30, not bad, 305 points. So, you want to talk about getting to top 12. If it doesn't happen in Heat 2, maybe I could see it in Heat 3, but Edgy's a scary player. Edgy's been competing for quite some time, Jacob. He's now competing with Duke, and this is a duo that could very well make some waves. 2 eliminations, nothing crazy so far, but still plenty to get through. And they do have a duo just below them. And Oliver, we're going to be seeing what he's going to be up to. Playing with Bronos. Bronos and OG himself, not only elimination races, I know he's tried to compete in FNCSs in the past, but he knows his 0 build. Bronos, for me, a personal favorite. Let's see how far he can go.
And honestly, for Oliver, I got to say the same thing. You got Archie tearing it up in the Cash Cup, so everybody's here at DreamHack San Diego. And a lot of people compare Archie to Oliver, how they're content creators switching on, trying to be professionals here in FNCS. And honestly, their journey for both of those players, they've came a long way. And I think Oliver OG, he has just as much chance as anybody else, along with Bronos, who plays a ton of arena. I think he wants to be one of the first people to 1 million arena points, which honestly, you guys can say what you want about arena. That's tough. That's not easy.
Oh, yeah.
That tests you in so many different ways.
That's a grind, that's the big thing, and I think more importantly, it shows the dedication Bronos has. Oliver, line it up, baby, give it to me. But hey, maybe he gets it, maybe he doesn't. We'll find out on the next episode. Adriana, though, in the time.
5619. You think he's from San Diego?
Man, you throwing out numbers I don't even know about, bro. I couldn't tell you the difference in a rock and a ficus, and now you want me to do algebra? Come on now.
609 is the San Diego area code.
You getting crazy on me, Jake. You're talking nonsense, okay? Hold up, slow down.
Okay, 3 plus 3, that's 6 minus 1, that's 5. Okay, quick math. That's what Edgy and Duke are trying to do right now. They're trying to do quick math. How many points do we need in this game continue our average, to continue our run. They got 30th in that last one. Okay, they got that match. One of the biggest trolls of all time. Fake signing to Dignitas, and honestly, good sports for Dignitas playing.
Why you gotta point that out?
Playing,
Everybody
playing
sees
along.
it. You have to
Honestly,
say it.
That's huge, though. That's huge for the org to really play along. That's support in the Fortnite scene. So I give a huge shout out to Dignitas overall for what they've been doing.
Well, if you believe in it long enough and you say it right, that's a life lesson. Things will happen. So hey, maybe you'll be on Dignitas soon enough. It's all unofficial. Don't take my word for that, please. Don't take anything I say to heart. Casker, Clarity, they are going to be rotating onto the outskirts. It looks like they have a little bit of ways till they get into zone, but they're going to be just fine. And I wonder if this is something, obviously Clarity being down to 32 health. I don't know if this is something they wanted to do or if it's an audible that's been made. And I have to think it's an audible that's been made. They were forced out of the zone. They were forced out to the outskirts. And now they have to make their way in. But enough of that. We saw Clips a little bit earlier. He's making a push up. And Clips now has to stay alive. Sabotorian has now fallen. Clips down to a sliver of health. He's gone. And that's going to be Clips once again being finished off early to Bully, who, I want to say, second place in the game one we saw earlier.
Yeah, honestly, for them, being able to kind of get these eliminations, makes it with the high placement games that they've seen in game number one. It's going to be the kind of the name of the game to kind of continue to inch themselves into that top 12. Because as it stands right now, they played about 3 games and they're 18th place. And I say about, use those points in the placement very, very loosely as this one continues to develop as the day does go on. So they realize with their backs up against the wall very, very early on here in heat number 2, they have to begin to get proactive, figure out the situation they're in and how they're going to get those points. Is it placement? Is it eliminations? The mix of both.
I think a mix of both is definitely the way to go. And speaking of which, we haven't spoke about finals, but finals, obviously that'll be broken down on Sunday, but just to give you guys a heads up, right, that's 5 points per elimination, so you're getting 2 more points. Right now it's 3 per elimination. You'll be getting 5 during finals. So those aggressive teams, or even going back a little bit earlier, Tripperin and his partner who had over 10 plus eliminations, right, that could be 50 points. That is nutty to say the least, Jacob.
Yeah, and that's really, I talked about it in this heat, and even that last one, 3 eliminations really stopping some of these teams from qualifying or not with 5 points. That 3 could have easily been 2, and it goes to show that if you're down, let's say we're in the finals lobby, game number 3 happens, and you're going into game number 4, and you realize where you're at in the leaderboard, you can go ahead and make a comeback at a moment's notice if you start picking up those eliminations. I've seen it through past Elite Cups, a little bit of a different format, but kind of the same as well with that 4 points per elimination. This time it's being 5.
Oh, Trump the American Dad really exposed. I see the little ant off in the distance. That's a player. Been marked. American Dad, does he want to fire? Does he not? If you can focus fire this well enough and hit your shots, this could be an elimination. That guy's gone, though. So now they have to just rotate in, but now they've given away their position, and there are some teams around them, so not the best spot to be in. Jamper, and Paper have done a wonderful job throughout the qualifying process. They were top 20 in heat number 1. They're now looking to obviously break into top 12 and qualify here. Bit of a slower game for them. Jamper the only one with an elim, but things are going to get heated up as we're now down to 40 players in the lobby.
Yeah, for them, I want to say I'm not too worried, but one heat went by and it kind of passed them. I do believe they were kind of in that top position, very close. They finished 15th in heat number 1. This time around, roughly about that 32nd place, so they still got some work to do. A lot of these big names thought they would kind of walk into DreamHack San Diego and kind of place and play the same that they do in a lot of these build modes, but it goes to show this is a wake-up call. This is another chance for anybody in Fortnite, realistically, to kind of make a new name for themselves with $250,000 up for grabs here in this first qualifier, $250,000 more through each and every single one, and then $2 million if you get that spot in Gamers 8 with Jamper and Paper going up against Edgy and Duke, but Jamper gets caught in no man's land. He's taken down. Paper realizes a lot of damage. One goes down, and there goes 2. Count them up. Knock him down. Paper saves the day.
He had to. Jamper made the push forward. You notice Paper and Jamper, we saw them for quite some time, Jacob. They were pushing up. They end up trying to push into Edgy and Co. They knew they were winning that fight, but they knew that they had to take the fight once they saw the team on the hilltop and they were on top of that house. And that wasn't going to be the smartest fight. They already had the low ground. They had some distance to cover. So they said, let's choose at least one duo. Let's push into Edge & Co. They do so. They make it happen. but it didn't come without a cost, right? Jamper, he's gone. Paper, can he get the reboot? Is it even worth it to go for the reboot? Is he going to pull in, kind of what an Okus did in game number 1 and solo it out? This time it's a little bit different, though. Okus, right, whenever he was solo, there was only 9 players left in the lobby. This time around, there's 38. So for Paper, he's got some decisions to make.
He was trying to go back there to the reboot. 2 people hiding in bushes, and those aren't even the 2 that he saw. He got saved. He doesn't realize how close he got saved just by spotting that additional team beginning to rotate in that direction. Made him second guess going for that reboot was worth or not. And oh my God, it had me at the edge of my seat realizing what is really going to happen, what's going to play out. Is Dubs and Accept. One of the things I'm excited to see for this season, which teams can consistently fight for those mythic pulse rifles at the top of the Rift Island. And honestly, for this game, for Accept and Dubs here in no builds, that's going to be a huge pack of punch to your arsenal.
Nebs and Cease had a great game a little bit earlier. Now once again on your screen, this time 3 eliminations, so pretty much par for the course. Nebs is going to join Cease, but one team, I believe they're going for the fight, and it looks like they might pincer in, 1 up top and 1 down low, which wouldn't be a bad kind of strat for them to fight it out. But then again, also, they're going to be on the edge of zone, so they've got to make a decision when to rotate, when is it going to be smart to do so. The shield bubbles are going to be one thing, but you got to travel some distance. I see some green arrows up ahead, right? That's going to be a team they're going to have to fight. Got some purple arrows, too. That's going to be a team they're going to have to fight. So this is going to be a tough position and a tough rotate for Cease and Nebs, but one they're going to have to make, and they're aware of it.
Yeah, and kind of add on to kind of what you were saying about the players in the distance. This is pulling towards the west side, which means that's going to be the congested side of zone. So I like what Nebs is thinking. Instead of fighting and wasting time over 3 points, which some would think is a lot depending on where you're at the leaderboard, they're just going to say, hey, that's just 3 points. Let's throw that to the website. There's still a top 20 worth of points here left in the game. And when those eliminations naturally present itself when the zone begins to close, they want to be one of the first teams there after the edge of zone to try to gatekeep everyone else out.
I'm wondering if Thug and Sons are going to make this push. That car is pretty much done for, and there it goes. It's gone, and into the water we go. Kinetic Blade out. I don't know who they were shooting at, but they gotta hightail it out. Casker's been lost. Clarity now has to be the hero in the moment, and I believe he's going to know he's in a 1v2, so it's going to be tough. Shield bubble's out, but this is only going to last so long. Does he dip? He does. Can he get away, though? Some of these players can absolutely beam, but Clarity gets away unscathed, and in fact, opens up an opportunity for a 1v1, and unfortunately, he falls. Casker, Clarity, they're going to have to ready up into the next lobby.
Those are those little moments. Those are those small moments where you wish you had some sort of twin mag SMG, maybe the exotic compact SMG, anything other than that red eye, because that first shot, let me tell you, that was a haymaker, but he just didn't have the damage, the DPS to follow it up. As Clay and Sonic get caught in no man's land, for some reason, Clay's just a little bit too far forward. Sonic's unable to be the hero, and look, it's a favorite. It's American Dad, it's out Trump, and a possible 3 points in their back pocket.
Yes, somebody in chat saying it's great to see them on land, and I think it is. Out-trumped and American Dad, they've got land experience. This is pretty much familiar turf for them, so they're going to be pretty comfortable. And honestly, this is, even though they have 0 eliminations, like, this is probably the most life we've seen from them, and for sure the best placing, because, like I said, in game 1 they had placed 46. Now they're top 16. So placement points, they add up, and they definitely matter. Do they know Sonic is where he's at, though? And for the way that Trump is looking, he has to know, and or he's looking at the loot. So I really can't tell. Maybe he doesn't even know. But let's go on board with Jaxie, see what he's up to. And it looks like he's on the run. Blizzy's been lost.
Yep, that was Oliver OG who was able to clean up that one and get 3 more points to their total. He's just trying to find anything. Somewhere to kind of hide, cement himself, cement his position, and really think in this situation as the zone begins to close, get smaller and smaller, everybody getting jam-packed closer together, is it worth going back for that reboot card, or is it much better for him to try to pick up as many placement points, find some eliminations as a solo, anything be better than trying to put yourself out in the dry. And these are those situations where you have to make that decision quick, because the longer you play in this game, if you don't pick up any points, it just hurts you in the end.
That's right. Jamper Paper, once again on your screen, and Jamper moving up. Bush Wookie it's going to be, so that's where they'll stop. I'm taking a look, trying to figure out where they are on the leaderboard so far, but they've been passed up a little bit. That's only because their game isn't finished just yet, so once those points add up, I'm curious where they're going to be, because they definitely seem like a favorite to qual. Accept and Dubs, though. Do we see a fight up close? We do, and Accept, he's going to go ahead and poke first. Sus is going to take quite a bit of damage, tries to get away with the Kinetic Blade, not going to be able to do so. Dubs down to just a sliver of health, but he's going to be just fine, and he stays alive. But where is the other? Suscript, he's locked. Where is the other? I think he's gone.
Yeah, Haji had no choice. He had to kind of get out, realize they just took too much damage too quickly. And that's accepting dubs. We saw them on that Rift Island moments ago trying to claim the pulse rifles and the mythic pulse rifles here in the season. No matter what mode you're playing in, it's just one of those that's just hard to fight against. It's one of those that it's just, if you don't land that perfect shot at the beginning of the fight, it's almost doomed right before it very starts. And he goes out, jumps American Dad, trying to play with the mythic Havocs. That's going to be a chance to kind of hit that 200 right out the gates. And there goes Oliver, OG, and Kronos getting sent back to the lobby. And American Dad and Trump, all the fans in the chat, got to be raving right now for those 2 eliminations.
It's bittersweet to me because I was just pumping up Bronos, been watching him since the very beginning, and then I see, you know, my 2 brothers in arms, American Dad out Trump, then fighting against Bronos and eliminating him. One had to go. There's going to be one standing on top of the hill once this is all done and over with, and if it's going to be American Dad out Trump, quite honestly, I'm not even going to be that upset. Good job from them, and I think that's their first eliminations of Heat number 2. So good on them. How far can they go? We're getting down to scraps. Only 8 teams remaining, and we might have one less as Cease can't get out of the way.
Yeah, it doesn't time that bubble rather perfectly. Trying to trade shots with the outside. He kind of dissipates at that worst possible moment. Takes a ton of damage. Luckily finds a big pop there towards the outside, but still trading shots with a player in the bush. That's not what you want to have happen, but Suns goes down, leaving Alex traveling all the way from OCE to try to claim a top spot in Gamers 8.
Nice shot.
Hopefully he can enjoy the sunshine right now because he's sent back to the lobby. Him and Suns run and at that top 8. The NPC gets hired again. 3v2.
Hey, look, and it's worth it, man. Why not? You know, if it's going to deviate some of the bullets, hey, dude, it's smart play. Smart play. Use whatever you can, and this is anything go. Right? This is anything go. Is there a person in the tree?
Yes. He's like a star at the top of the Christmas tree. I don't know. I didn't exactly see the name right there for that quick moment, but luckily for everybody else, he might have to rotate, or did he get himself a spot in his own? As BH Snipes, he had to rotate out, but he's trying to find himself another Christmas tree to be the star on top of.
Oh, he's trying hard too. He gets it. He's up to B Snipes.
Please.
Is like,
he deserves
I'm talking 300 IQ, bro. If he can go any higher, he'd be higher. Like, that is smart. And do you know, because this you can't just shoot at a tree, bro. You're focused on the bushes. You're focused on the trucks. You're focused on the players up ahead. B Snipes, he's living rent-free.
Yep. Cease on the outside's going to be the focus right now in the lobby. Luckily for him, he's the one that has that additional player, so they could be shooting the NPC, thinking they're doing a ton of damage and wasting a lot of time trying to focus on Cease, who's trying to find that alternate route, a different pathway, but he gets met by Muzz and Bully yet again, who are trying to do exactly that, bully the lobby. Snipes goes down to Jamper in the feed. His tree hopping days are over.
I guess so. That's tough, but hey, smart. We saw you know, Mama Benji, right, hiding in the corner a little bit earlier. Now we see, of course, the star on the Christmas tree, as you like to call it. They're pulling out all the stops to try and get as many points as they possibly can. But now things start to get serious, right? No more Christmas trees, no more hiding in corners. It's all about gun skill. We are now out in the open. There's only 2 bits of high ground. You got the ravine in the middle. I don't know if that's the right word, but I pulled it out and I said it confidently. So now you get out Trump, American Dad. They're still in the trailer park hanging out. You got Renegade, who's in the bush just right there. That's going to be a 1v2. Do they make the push? Well, they don't know he's a 1v2, so you can't be too confident. You also got Bully, who got 2nd place in the last game they competed in. They're looking to replicate that. That would be huge for them.
I actually love, out of everyone's position, American Dad out Trumps out of everybody else. Mythic pulse rifles doing so much damage, whether you spray or not. Cease going to be the first one going down. Top 6 we go. Out Trump and American Dad on the outskirts. They know Dems is there on the other side, but everybody's really trying to find some sort of oasis where they can find safety. Down goes Out Trump, down goes American Dad, Muzz as well. Into the top 5 we go with Dubs and Accept looking like janitors are cleaning up the lobby.
It's going to come down to the wire. Dubs taking a bit of damage. He's forced to get away. Accept still hiding into the bush. Finds an opportunity on the Paper. Accept is going to drop. Paper picks him up. Now, we're down to the top 2 duos. Nabs fighting on, holding out, but can't do it much longer. And that's going to be Paper and Jamper taking game number 2. Well done from them. That is a big finish. We talked about them being 13th place, right? It takes 12 to qualify. That's all that's moving forward from each heat to go to finals. They were 13th. So the fact that Paper and Jamper not only have a great game 1, but a great finish in game 2, Jacob, puts them high up the leaderboard, you'd have to assume.
No, honestly, you kind of add in the fact that they were one of the few teams that actually boot camped with each other, traveling to each other's houses for FNCS.
Oh, I
Even
didn't
though
know
they
that. That's
did
great.
go their separate ways, they
Yeah.
eventually went back home and thought, hey, we might perform better. That at least gave them some bit of practice in that in-person environment, even though they're only sitting right next to each other. So they can go ahead and really dig deep. You saw early on in the same game, Paper saving Jamper, bringing him back in, not only saving him, but getting the full-on reboot to get him back into the game and win it overall.
Yeah, great job from them. And a lot had to come together for them to take that victory, but they managed to do it. And it's been great to see the teams that lose a team member, like you said, right, and then get the reboot and still come out ahead. We have literally seen that theme in every single game that we've watched. There's never been a game so far, in Heat 2, mind you, that we've casted that, hasn't ended with at least one solo pulling out a heroic effort. Wonderful job. So that's what, now 1 hour down, 1 hour and some change. We've seen a total of 4 games, and it's been fun. It has. We still have at least 2 hours to go and more games to get through. So when it comes to DreamHack featuring Fortnite for San Diego, a lot more Fortnite to go. Don't go anywhere.
in the heart of an ancient desert. The land of heroes awaits. Prepare yourself. To witness feats you never thought possible. Records will be broken. Legends will be born. And fortunes will be made. The stage is set. The largest esports and gaming festival the world has ever known. Ready or not, here it comes. Gamers 8, the land of heroes.
Welcome back, everybody, to DreamHack featuring Fortnite. I'm Taylor Reflections Noble, joined by Jacob MVPR. We've got our first hour down. We're about to move into our second, and some change, mind you. That is a little bit different. Gamers 8, right? Gamers8.gg. Check them out. They've got a lot going on, a lot of tournaments, tons of money on the line. More importantly, here for Fortnite, since you're interested, $2 million up for grabs. That's what they are trying to qualify. There's going to be 3 total qualifiers here for the San Diego qualifier. The top 10 after Sunday will move forward to compete in the $2 million tournament. Big news for them. And you play for $2 million, you make at least a prize pool of $250,000. Jacob, they got a lot going for them.
They definitely do. And you got to think, first place, you're not only getting that spot to fight for $2 million, they get that large chunk, $45,000 to split between the two. Not a bad weekend in San Diego, I would say myself. Maybe you could hit the beach right afterwards to kind of celebrate. But we got the standings for you guys right here, right before our very eyes. These are moving standings. So even though you guys might be looking at the leaderboard and saying, hey, that's not exact, it's because we have 3 hours of gameplay. They're constantly going to be updating as players get eliminated out of lobbies or they get those victory royales overall. But what stands out to you most?
Well, Crackley, Oak is still holding on tight to the top 3 position. I think they were number 1 last time we looked at standings. Now they're going to be number 2, obviously subject to change. Pilkey Easiness do move up to 6. Tax and Moot in 7th. So we're seeing some heavy hitters, and Tripper in 2, right? That heroic effort from him, 1 HP in a dream. Unfortunately, we got jump scared. He ended up being eliminated, but the elims that they both had was enough to carry them forward. Casker Clarity had a strong finish in the last game. Paper Jamper in 13th, right? Rounding out, or at least being on that bubble. So they've got to clear the gap, but I mean, that gap is literally, 4 points from 13th to 9th place? It's a tight run, maybe even tighter than Heat 1.
Yeah, and you got to think this is 10 games that you do get to play. So even though you guys might have those pop-up performances, some of these teams are not going to be able to be consistent throughout them all. So they got to figure out some way to find said consistency, try to make it into that top 12, especially with our top 12 competitors who've already qualified, the likes of Queasy and Vino, Seti and Cammy, Mr. Savage and Acorn, a duo that I didn't expect. I'd love to see. I got to see them in Heat 1. They're already sitting pretty. They're either watching the competition, maybe playing in a cash cup there on the side, but what they're doing really is preparing for that $250,000 final on Sunday.
I think you have to take note of these events. Whether you competed together or not, you've got to put your best foot forward, play with the duo maybe you're not as comfortable with in regular build. Maybe it works for zero build. And I know that's something you've kind of been contemplating and talking through, even when we're off camera, right? Kind of like, man, I don't see these guys compete often. This is a surprise. But hey, the proof's in the pudding. They're playing well as a duo. They're making it happen in zero build. There's a lot of money on the line and prestige as well, right? Because there haven't been, a ton of huge zero build tournaments. And at least this is the first one for the season in general. So this is a big deal and a big chance to prove you're on top. If you've already done it in true FNCS and build mode, why not come over, put your best foot forward for zero build and see if you can end up on top? It's a big deal. Something I couldn't do, but these guys are clearly doing it themselves, and you can't hate on that. You gotta love it. So we're going into now our second hour of the event. We've got a total of 3 hours being played, Jacob. We've seen a lot of shakeups. We've seen a lot of close matches, and I'm ready for some more.
Yeah, honestly, if you kind of look at some of the players that qualified for Heat number 1, there was just one team that had under 40 eliminations throughout their time playing into those games. So it's very, very important for some of these teams, some of these players to start to realize where they're at in the leaderboard. You mentioned it's only 1 hour down. That's a third of the time already being spent. Now is the time to start to be proactive and really play into your situation.
All right, let's get into it. This is maybe game 3, game 4, but hour 2 is the big key takeaway. And I'm ready to get it going. I truly am. And I have no idea who we're going to get on board with first, but everybody that we've got on board with seems to make it to the very end. So shout out to the observers. They're catching that early storyline, and they're also giving us the opportunity to tell the in-game storyline when it comes to it. And looking at the map, well, actually, speaking of which, Epic Well, I want to talk about him, right? A talented player. He's been competing for some time. He's had tremendous success in FNCS pretty much since the very start. Can he do it in zero build? Well, he hasn't had the best performances yet, but blending Mega City, we've seen how contested that's been, so maybe that's why.
Yeah, for him, he won that builds version of Gamers 8 last year along with Malibuca. Malibuca already finding his spot into the finals, qualifying through heat number 1. Epic Well and Reet, man, I've seen some huge performances, but right now I expect just a little bit more. Didn't really expect them to kind of have to play into heat number 2, and honestly, depending on where they're currently at in leaderboard, because we didn't see them in the top 12 after that leaderboard change up for the first hour.
Yeah, we didn't. And speaking of which, you kind of. Yeah, I have to, because it's like
37th. Wow.
37th. But I mean, what are the points looking like? Because we saw 190 or so as top 12. So 171. So quite honestly, despite them being that far down, like they only have to clear 20 or so points, maybe a bit more, before they reach that top 12, top 13. So if you're an Epic Well fan like I am, I mean, there's always potential, but they have to make it out of Mega City. And that has kind of been the playing ground for Vert and Quinn. They've been rocking this area so well that for Epic Well, really, they're obviously very aware of that, and they're looking to go for the challenge.
Talk about a challenge, man. The shots are being traded off and download up. Even though you can't really replace the builds for zero build, you're taking away options. Even see the egg launcher really making its appearance here. Epic Well gets dropped into the wrong hands. A lot of shield being drained off. He still has the shield keg, though, so he can kind of take the time to try to build that bit of comfortability back up as Reed's going to drop down low. A lot of players being displaced here in this fight, but somehow it's Epic Well who gets the first knock, taking down Vert.
Well, it's not over just yet. One more remains, and these solos, they can put in work. Quinn, does he want to lay low? Does he want to push up? Well, I don't think he's pushing, but at least he's going to lay low. Epic Well, Reetling, are they happy with that one elim, or do they want more? Well, they have no choice. Quinn, he's already made the decision. He wants to fight it out. Reetling, he's on the hunt, but it looks like, at least for the meantime, Quinn has dodged him. Epico spots him. Quinn in the corner. You hate to see it. He's gone, and well, that's just what ends up happening, unfortunately. But for good news for Epic Well and Reetling, they make it happen, right? They win Mega City, and this could be where they start to break into top 12.
Honestly, that's why I mentioned that practice from Paper and Jamper, playing on the setup that's just kind of unfamiliar to yourself. Anything could have realistically happened. He could have alt-tabbed out. His mouse could have died. Something that doesn't typically happen in your home setup where you're the most comfortable and you don't really have to worry about other things can kind of play out. And for Quinn, that might have been his demise here in that last game. But Juan and Zilix, kind of in a good spot here when it comes to Breakwater Bay. Not too many teams being aggressive to try to finish that off, because even though I mentioned they're in a good spot, Juan only has 2 HP. They just need to look in his direction. He's going to go down.
Oh, and he does look into the direction that's WinMag, getting a couple of shots, but surprisingly stays alive against all odds. Surely there's no healing in his inventory. Shield bubble out. Sassy, does he want to make that push? Cupsy maybe too. It wouldn't be a bad push, but I mean, they are getting laser.
No.
I think that's Bofink, right? Yeah, and Bofink up ahead is laying down some fire, and that's a duo that has been playing exceedingly well. They placed 13th in Heat 1. That's a scary duo. Case in point, right? Bofink, he's incredible.
Yeah, honestly, they were just right outside the cusp. You were talking about in Heat number 1. For them, it was 3 points. It was 3 points was really the differential. They technically probably needed 4, because I do believe they would have lost the tiebreaker between Trashy and Pump because of Victor Royales overall. But that just goes to show how close these heats actually end in a lot of these scenarios. And that's why I mentioned very, very early on, it's these little points throughout each and every one of the games that are going to stack up that really matter at the end of the day. So if you're a competitor, you don't qualify in Heat number 1, you don't qualify in Heat number 2, you need to rewatch every one of those games, and you can't boil it down to one moment.
Fox and Skips. I don't think we've seen too much of them, but we've definitely seen a lot of Oppose and JG9. And for this very reason, shots, they're accurate, they hit. They're not scared to get up close and personal, make the push. They are violent in the way that they finish these fights, and they do it so quickly. And that is really a great trait to have. If you can finish a fight quickly, that lessens your chances of getting third-partied and maybe losing your lives and being eliminated. Oppose, JG9, they waste no time, they push up, they pick up one. The other one, though, putting up a bit of a fight, right? More than I was giving him credit for. Skips now in a 1v1 against Oppose up ahead, and he's going to get the finish onto JG9. So, 1v1, who takes it?
Honestly, Skips has the best chance here, especially now that he got that first knock on the one. He has that purple Havoc shotgun against Oppose, who honestly, well, it takes is one bad play here for Oppose. He has the Twin Mag SMG. I talked about the Havoc shotgun. He could really do almost 250 damage in a blink of an eye, and that's why you see Oppose really trying to play as careful as possible. You're in that top 23. You still got more than 30 points to go. In just placement alone, you can't let it go down that easy.
Oppose going for the reboot. Skips. He's going to see this. He might even hear it. Does he push hard?
Can't.
I think he's kind of known that I'm a little bit too late.
He's
But Oppose he'll get the reboot. So good on him. And you think he's going to go for JG9?
Yeah, he has to get him out of the sky. That's really the only option here. Oppose just trying to go ahead and peek on over just in case he does go for the shots. He's at least able to trade out for something. Skips doesn't find anything. And right here, this is where I wish for Skips was just going for the reboot. Trying to play it for himself, because now he's in a 1v2 situation. JG9 just needs a couple of seconds, any bit of time here to try to loot up, get anything to work with before they chase down this elimination.
Oppose going in. Sees the opportunity. He's got the tags needed. One shot, you're gone. And great play from Oppose to get his teammate back in and get the finish. And you got to question, Jacob, Skips. Should he have been more assertive during that reboot? Should he have pushed up and challenged the 1v1 as opposed to putting himself in a 1v2?
And one side of me says yes, the other side says no. The lack of the kinetic
It's not an easy decision.
They kind of closed the. To me, it was just exactly that. It's not easy because the distance is there. More than likely, he's going to get the reboot off. But do you win the 1v1 because he didn't have a kinetic blade to close the distance? So it would have came down to timing of him even getting the 1v1. But JG9 would have been up to kind of have that second chance with maybe just the pistol, but at least it's something.
All right, Vinji, Chicken. Haven't seen him too much. Get to see him at least in the meantime. It's a little bit quiet over here, but I'm sure it's going to wake up in just a little bit. And Vinji, it's pretty decent inventory. I mean, pretty par for the course. The only difference is no AR, right? Twin Mag instead of the AR. So that's a bit of a different inventory than I'm used to seeing.
Kind of really in center zone. They're just trying to scrounge up a lot of this loot, bring it right back to them. It almost seems like their goal here is try to hide in one of these builds, just outlast everybody else. And then if they end up in a close range fight, they have the loadout for it.
They do.
Shield bubbles going down already. Got to imagine Chicken at least picked up one of the two. So they have, actually there's 4 more on the ground. They have more than enough inventory, resources, everything that they need here to try to outlast. They just need to have the patience to not get bored in a building like that.
Yeah, it's a good call out, right? No AR, you got Twin Mag, and of course then you also have the Maven Auto Shotgun. You're definitely looking to fight up close and personal. Now, whether that's a decision they made consciously or something they were forced into because the loot just didn't work out for them, well, you know, hey, they're going to rock with it, and I think they're going to be fine. It's an interesting strategy, and, you know, we've seen a lot of wild cards be thrown out there, and some of them have worked, some of them haven't. But for Sizlucky, DJ, no wild cards for them, right? They're pretty much straight to the point, simple play, but very intense play style, and they like to punish players, and they've already done that to 5, right? They've got 5 eliminations for them, so good on that. That's going to be 15 points already, and we are getting down to the top 20. We already are at the top 20. But how you liking the positioning from Sizlucky DJ? Do they wrap left, right? Where's their best position?
Honestly, they have very few choices. I think right would be the way to go if they can kind of back it up. And I like how he's kind of looking for resources before he inevitably popped that slurp juice. He's trying to save them for as long as possible. There's a lot of fruits, vegetables, and things you can kind of scavenge to try to get that HP up without wasting your important heals. The better heals is Chicken and Benji. They're just trying to chase somebody down. We talked about them already. Closing the distance is going to be a key to victory for them. Because of Venji and his lack of long range. He has the Twin Mag, right. He has the Havoc, and Chicken and him are going to play a little bait and switch here as they look for that mass member.
Oh, Chicken wants it. But does Chicken get it? I don't think so. Did Venji pick him up? Maybe, but Semi truck up ahead. We're
He's in the
going
car.
forward. There's going to be 2 Vingies in there, actually. And Chicken is like, dude, hold up. Wait a second, brother. You're in the wrong vehicle, man. Yo, hey, back up.
He has to brake. He has to brake. He's not going to be able to shoot through the window like he wants to, which means they got to go ahead and at least explode it. There goes no damage coming out from the explosion.
Oh, no.
But because of the chase, they put themselves in such a bad spot. Chicken's shields are going to go down, drop down to 42 HP overall. Shield bubble just in the nick of time to keep himself alive. But him
lucky.
and Benji, their opponents, that's Degen and Sislucky, they know they're weak, and that's a green light for them to go.
Oh, yeah, they're going to push it too, right? They're aggressive as can be. So Chicken, he needs to be cognizant. This push, it's going to happen whether I like it or not. Degen says Lucky, they're going to play it appropriately. They're going to be on the outskirts, the outer edges. They're going to slowly pincer in Vinji and Chicken. After all, they're the ones who have to fight against the storm, right? Fight against the zone. Degen says Lucky, they know this. They'll continue to push up, but at a certain point, Vinji, Chicken, they've got to push up. They have no choice.
And we talked about the living leaderboard. It's going to constantly be moving as the day goes on to try to figure out who qualifies to heat number 2. And the only reason why I'm bringing that up is currently, as we stand, Sislucky and Degen sitting in 10th place. This fight means so much. Sislucky goes down. That's Thoric and Blur Antics, who in the blink of an eye end a top 10 run.
Yeah, we're talking about Chicken. We're talking about Vinci. We should have been talking about Thor as well as Blur Antics. They pick them up, and that is a huge duo to slay out and take out. Blur Antics, we talked about him earlier. Big fan of him. He's obviously been a competitor basically since the beginning of Fortnite, and he continues to show why he is in the upper echelon of competitive players. Now down to 33, 18 teams remaining. We look at Alex. Got at least Build-A-Bear just above him. Flaws as well. And he's going to stay put. So do you leave Flaws and Build-Bear here? Do you make the push? I don't think you can. You got to just concede the high ground. Maybe work your way up if you can. But in the moment, honestly, disengaging, getting away from here, it's going to be hard, but might be the better play. It's so hard to get on top of this building.
I almost feel like he doesn't even get to play anymore. There's so many teams around him. He's a solo. He's very, very weak. He pops out of that bush at a moment's notice. He's going to end up with that same demise that Boston just fell. He's going to get sent back to the lobby altogether. And this is where it's kind of hard in that situation to where you really have to have the patience. It's easy to get impatient in a lot of these situations. As Sniper and Mega, you see them hunting game after game after game, trying to find those eliminations. But honestly, I don't think that's necessarily working out for them too much. I don't see them in the top 10 as it stands right now.
And I know a lot of people would like to see Mega in that top 10, like to see Mega qualify. Back on top, we go back on board with Flaws and Build-Bear. Flaws on that high ground I mentioned a little bit earlier. The DNA boys also to the right. So we've got 2 different duos in this location, and Flaws and Build-Bear have such a good vantage point that you have to favor them depending on who pushes them. And for Arctic and Fernie, they're not really justified in doing so. So I think it's going to be the sit and wait game, maybe see where zone pulls, and, well, everybody's going to have to rotate eventually, and it might be best just to wait.
Oh,
No, they're going for it.
Oh my, that old school strategy coming out yet again. Grenades being tossed 60 meters in the distance. That way they explode at the top of that building. And even though, you know, the floors didn't get broken down just yet, if we get them just enough, a couple of shots from a different direction, they're going to go down. Reed's going to get the first one on the Bofink. Ludens just trying to stay alive. That's Epic Well and Reed that kind of claimed the top of that Rift Island. Now they're going to get that Pulse rifle to kind of use for the rest of the lobby. They get the slurp juices. They kind of get everything that they need at the top of that island.
Stay in the car. That's my kind of strategy. Meanwhile, Build-Bear from one high ground on top of the roof to the top of the tree. We've seen that once already. We see it again. Build-Bear knows this is my chance to strike, and he will strike while the iron's hot. But did he bite off more than he can chew? Fernie up close, but Flaws will go for the bait and switch, and the bait and switch will pay off, and it's going to be Build-Bear picking up both. Good on them for doing so. That was a tense moment. They had at least 2 duos kind of surrounding them. One was below, one was in a bush just up ahead. They find a way to get on top of the tree from the top of the building. Then they find a way to successfully push in. The bait and switch pays off. And Jacob, they rack up a couple more elims to put them at 3, and they've cleared out the area. They have a free rotate.
Yeah, striking while the iron is hot. We're about halfway through our heat number 2 qualifier to see which top 12 teams make it into our final on Sunday, and which teams will have to be forced to go again like a merry-go-round in heats number 3 and heats number 4 to kind of secure themselves a spot. Build-A-Bear kind of drops down low. We've seen Christmas ornaments on the day so far. He's not going to have that same positioning because he still has more to go. Flaws getting not only shot at in the distance, but taking some damage from the storm. Forced to use all of his heals and possibly his last shield bubble as well.
Mingo does fall, so that's good news for Flaws, actually, because even though they don't pick up that Elam, they still now have one less person that they have to deal with, and it looks like they're going to pump the brakes. Sods, though, is going to be an issue. Kinetic Blade, getting in these trees, now viable option, and Sods being where he's currently at, he can pull the trigger on Build Bear and Flaws and honestly do some damage, but with the Kinetic Blade on Flaws and Build Bear too, like, they rotate so fast, Sods doesn't have an opportunity. I think Sods is playing the long game, Jacob.
Yeah, we've already seen them get one victory royale here on the stream so far. So they already have that recipe. They already have the blueprint down. It's about following it, executing to their strategy. And Build Bear and Flaws from the top of the buildings to kind of hunting and kind of staying on the inside of another, trying to wait for somebody to kind of either scavenge around for loot or trying to find some sort of safe haven that they're going to try to take advantage of. And you kind of notice they're one of the few teams that are using that combat shotgun. I mean, I would too if I found a gold one laying around, but that's something you don't necessarily see every day. Oh my.
Oh my. No, dude, can he do it? Yes, he can for a little bit, though. Neji also fell, and look who it is, right? The deadly duo, Jamper, Paper, looking to duplicate success. The game is over, and Paper Jamper gets second, but a crowd favorite, Rotten Twinkies, lock in the game. We saw the finality of that one. We're now back on board with where we were before. We kind of got a little bit of a snippet on that in-game, but Rotten Twinkies, that's my boy, taking that game, and who knows, maybe moving up a little bit more.
I, for some reason, didn't think we would see a slice and dice finish like that with the Kinetic Blade, but he figures out a way to still put on a show while competing simultaneously. Props to him to picking up that huge VR, trying to inch themselves closer to that top 12 as Chicken, Venji, we've already seen them multiple times so far, and honestly changed up the loadout. Going with the double Mythic and the Havoc. That's something that you've heard me talk about, the Havoc suppressed rifle. I don't necessarily suggest taking it, but at the same time, Mythic for Mythic, if you don't land that 200 with the Havoc shotgun, you could definitely kind of switch to the suppressed AR and use it similar to you'd use a Twin Mag SMG.
Laurentics, Thor, took down Cease a little bit earlier. They did so in wonderful fashion. They're looking to do once again. Heavy snipe to just remove the cover. There's a truck up ahead, so there is a way for their opponents to disengage. They might wrap right to maybe catch their vantage point or catch their rotation off guard, which should be smart for them to do, and I think that's exactly what they're doing. So again, great positioning. That's what separates, you know, some that move forward, the best of the best from, you know, maybe your lower tier players who don't have as much success. Positioning matters. You expect everyone in this lobby, Jacob, to be able to shoot straight. That's just a given, right?
Yep.
But positioning and then also thinking through complex situation is what makes them good. And Blur Antics, Thorkin, they have it. So good on them. And even now, Build Bear Flaws, that's a duo that's been popping off, right? I'd be scared to push them, but for Blur Antics, Thor, they're not worried.
Yeah, and for them, even though they have 4 eliminations so far, this is almost a must-win scenario in this game. They have about 226 points, 20 points shy of trying to get into that top 12 bubble, so they need to start picking up the eliminations, match that with the placement points, just like you see Chicken and Venji trying to take advantage, 2v1 situation, but he doesn't have any shields. Venji needs a little backup, he needs a little help, and I think that shield bubble is going to allow for Chicken and him to try to find some form of stability here in this game.
Yeah, but I think they're going to get pushed from the high ground if I'm not mistaken, so it's going to be a tough spot for them. But, I mean, look, these guys are resilient. They have lasted for some time, and there's JG9. We saw him fall a little bit earlier, but he was able to get picked back up from his teammate. They made a heroic push, made it happen, but I believe 2 AM boys are out for the meantime. Meanwhile, Vinji down to literally 1 HP. Justice will fire the shot with the red eye. He'll be finished off in just a meantime. Now Justice, he can get to work on the second player. His teammate has already done so, but Oppose, he's out. He wants to get the distance. He does not want to mess around with Turtle and Justice any longer. He just wants to live.
Yep, especially now that he has that Mythic Havoc shotgun to kind of use and kind of bully the lobby with. We see Sods go down, so no victory royale for you, but at least he has one under his belt. Blur Antics going to take down Guden, and with those shots firing off, Turtle and Justice are just trying to close the distance. Information is going to be very, very important for a team like this. What?
I like it.
I do. I mean, I do too.
Hey,
that's gonna be me if I was in a finals.
That's me too, brother. That's me too. His name's Chicken for a reason, but doesn't mean hey he's Chicken. All right, he's a bold player. He's proven himself. And Justice and Turtle, they don't know where he's at. Clearly, that's why they're shooting out the building. But then again, like Chicken, even though he's alive now, it doesn't mean he's in a great spot. Like he still has to get up top. That's gonna expose him to Turtle, and that's gonna expose him to Justice. So they're sitting pretty. They're feeling confident. Either way you look at it.
It's just unfortunate because honestly, if he was on that flat terrain already, I can kind of see him sneaking his way in there. But I almost think he needs to use that kinetic blade in order to get to the next position in zone. He can't go towards the north, even though I would think that's where you kind of want to go. But without the kinetic blade, maybe that's going to be the only option as Gooden in a very, very similar position. But luckily for him, he's right close to zone, right below Chicken.
Oh, right on top of Chicken. Hold up. Up close.
Oh, my
Chicken
God.
wins it. Yo, look, I got to think twice about eating chicken moving forward, brother, because chickens fight back, and when they do, they're scary.
Yep, that extra spicy. That's a hot chicken wing right there. Let me
spicy,
tell you,
man.
he's ready to burn anybody who takes a bite. It's like no Build-A-Bear and flaws. Honestly, with no Build-A-Bear in the name, you got to have high hopes. Got to be able to live up to that. And was getting to our top 8. About 4 players right now, Reflections, are running around as solos.
Chicken's taking a bit of damage.
He's one of
Kinetic blade to disengage. Turtle spots him. Luckily, though, a shield bubble to place. So, Chicken, for the meantime, still carrying the Tor. Ooh, around the corner. Opposes it, ready for it. And Alex, he'll clear it and take him down. Talk about, man, a scary movie indeed. Justice still with Turtle. And they, in my opinion, are looking like the favorites to take this game.
Definitely. They have that high ground positioning. And for them, they can kind of survey the lobby. Even though they have to rotate in towards the next zone, they need to figure out where they can and cannot go. Because they know somebody else is out there. I think that was Alex in the distance that they did spot out. That's going to be one of the solos that I was talking about. Only 2 left with a couple of them already getting taken down. A team's going to be hiding down low in that kind of bunker they have down there. I believe that's Knifer and Mega. And honestly, Mega and Knife are one of our more aggressive teams in the lobby. They realize the position they're in. It's all about just waiting for the rest of the opportunities to present themselves. Blur Antics almost going down.
Look at their eliminations, too, sitting at 10, Jacob. So that's only been matched by Tripperin a little bit earlier. We could have a very high elimination game, at least from what we've seen on broadcast, right? We don't catch every single game, but we do our best. The red zone style Turtle. A couple of shots down low. They're going to have to rotate in. This is where Alex maybe stays alive, stays put. He's going to be down low. But I believe we're about to have a bit of a tussle between Blur Antics, Thor, and Turtle and Justice. But Alex has been spotted. He can't go anywhere. He is done for.
Yeah, but the bubble shield right now is preventing them from even going down low. But Tavern takes some fall damage trying to finish off that Alex player. Again, they're just kind of tossing and turning and moving all around. Yeah, he's going to be able to get away for now. And for Tavern, you got to wonder, was that sacrifice worth it? They have no more meds, no shields, no HP to regain. In a situation like this, with Thork and Blur Antics having that high ground above everybody else, that might have just been enough to kind of did them in.
Positioning, right? Positioning separates, players who win, players who don't. And for Blur Antics, Thor, they absolutely have the best positioning, without question. Do they get focused on? I don't know. Do they have to give up high ground just a little bit? Oh, Mega, though. Mega's just below him, Jacob. Mega's below him, and Blur Antics going to see this. Takes a lot of bit of damage, but he's going to be able to at least get a job. Mega is going to stay up and stay afloat. He can't get Knifer back into the fight. Thor is ready to pounce. He knows he's going to be flesh, but Thor decides to risk it all and go for the revive. Meanwhile, Tavern, he's going to push up with Justice. He's going to take down Knifer. He's going to take down Mega. Now Turtle looking to take down Thor. There's been a development. We talked about the commitment from Turtle and Justice. Was it worth it? Well, Jacob, it seems it was.
It definitely was worth it overall, but he has to be able to pop the med miss. Alex trying to go up and over. That was the original player that kind of confused him for a moment, and now we're into the top 3. Thork been tossed down to the low ground. Chicken scaving his way in. It went through everything to get to this point and find himself a top 3 finish. If somehow Chicken gets himself that top 12 qualified to the finals, you got to imagine his teammate got to be having a pat on the back as Turtle putting a good damage out. Chicken's going to go down. Thor going to 1v2 from the outside of zone. He goes down as well. Turtle and Justice take the game.
Well done from them. I kind of felt it a little bit early on, Jacob. Turtle, Justice, they were just hitting great shots. More importantly, their positioning was wonderful. They did get a bit dicey. You pointed it out, right? Was it worth the commitment? Dropping low, using your shield bubble, using your meds. Well, that was a risky play, but a risk they were willing to take that gave them the added edge to pop up on Mega, take them down, and ultimately get Blur Antics and co. and then win the game. And even though Chicken does fall early on, he doesn't get the, heroism of getting first place. He still gets top 4 by surviving. That is a heck of a job as far as I'm concerned. Now, from one game to yet another, let's take a look at Edgy and Duke, see what they're up to.
Oh, Panda's going to get kind of haymakered. Right hook. Shield's going to get dropped. Duke wants to finish that one off. Immediately lands shot after shot. even with a common, the Havoc is just dealing so much damage, leaving Boston in a situation where I have to abandon. I've let Panda go down and kind of see what I can make of a solo game.
Liking what I'm seeing from Duke, like you said, representing Dignitas. Well done from him, and honestly, been playing considerably well. So, very happy to see how they're doing. Edgy, talked about him quite a bit. Jacob, if you could, I want to know where they're actually on the leaderboard, because I know they were making some pretty good headway when it came down to.
Keep that in mind. It's a living leaderboard. And I'm saying it's a living leaderboard, so this could change in each and every one of these moments.
So number
Pilkey's
6,
going to be right below him. Yeah, Pilkey's in 7th. Dignitas, Duke, and Edgy are going to be in 6th place. Noah and Replays. Honestly, Noah's a 0 build grinder, so is Replays. They're sitting, I do believe, in 24th place as it stands. It's still anybody's to grab. You got to think 24th place, 224. 12th place as it stands, 257. One good game can kind of pop you off and get you inside of that bubble.
Right. 0 build GOAT picked up Mingo just a little earlier. Good on him. We kind of had a good bit of time on his screen in our previous game, and it was nice to watch him play. He's clearly got good movement. Does he break into top 12? Well, still yet to be seen. I think I got a glimpse of American Dad and Go being eliminated, if I'm not mistaken. Take a look at our leaderboard. Like I said, it's living, but Tax and Moo currently first place at 298 points, and Crackley Oak is still holding on tight to second. Jacob, they ended up winning game number 1. That was due to the heroics of Okus. Good on him. And we got Scram and Tripperin, right? Tripperin picking up that massive play in game number 3, or game number 2, I should say, and holding on tight. And of course, we'll go down the list. 5th being Duke and Edgy, as we just talked. So not even 6, right? They move up a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is that living leaderboard. It shows that throughout the next 3 hours, or say total of 3 hours, you got about an hour and 20 minutes left. You know, depending on where you're at, the games, the lobbies are constantly rolling, so you can't have any feeling of comfortability until the timer, until the lobby's closed and everybody's done with their games. That's when you can have that sigh of relief, figure out if you qualified or not, because even in first place, Tax and Moo, they can't even have that feeling of comfortability. A couple of bad games, they can move to the bottom of that leaderboard as Replays and Noah are trying to have the opposite effect. A couple of good games, boost themselves to the top. That way they don't have to play tomorrow. They qualify in heat number 2.
I did catch a glimpse of Mama Benji. We've been kind of following her throughout the qualifier for heat number 2. We've seen her, pull off some interesting plays.
Wow.
Noah gets a bit greedy, stays in the air a little bit too long, and he wanted to find somebody if he could. I don't even know if he was trying to disengage, but it is going to be found out by Oliver and Bronos. This is actually the area where they ended up falling a little bit earlier, and that was to American Dad & Co. So they come back, clearly keeping their playstyle consistent. Replays down as well. Tough break for Noah, and Replays were just pumping them up, but that's the way these lobbies go.
And it's a battle of 2 different style of Titans. Reet and Epic, they see that they're healing from the splashes. That's a sign of weakness when it comes to them. Brono's trying to get out, but a huge tag as he tries to find the escape. Oliver OG now taking a lot of the focus. Somehow Brono's going to be able to escape. Epicwell gets into the car, spots him at the tail end. Brono's just over peaking as he was almost safe. Epicwell was about to go chase Oliver. Now Reed's going to go ahead and finish that one off. Bronos and Oliver OG are now forced to enter another lobby.
These third parties, they're so brutal, but that's the way it is. Sometimes you win them, sometimes you lose them, and in that case, Bronos, they'll lose it. Duke will pick up Boston. He's gone. Rotten Twinkies, though, still staying alive, taking down Assassin Degen. The teammate, obviously, we saw a little bit earlier, picking up yet another, so good on him for doing so. I mean, look, we are seeing the usual suspects truly be consistent. Consistency is key, and I want to point out, by the way, the earlier you qualify, the less games you have to play, which means, the less taxing it is when you move into grand finals come Sunday. Qualify as early as you can, but you still got plenty of opportunities. Cease, he's airborne.
Me and Cease probably both saw that chicken and thought it was like somebody who was about to land on. Realized it was a chicken. All right, never mind, Nev. Never mind. Keep it going. Rotten Twinkies. A lot of fans in the chat.
That's right.
Kind of rooting for them. Now's your chance to really see what they're made of, or at least for a glimpse. You got Nebs and Cease, talked about them. They have that high ground. That's the position that it's going to be hard to kind of battle against. You're picking and choosing against a player on the high ground can be hard, even if you have that red eye.
Cease on the move. Cease on the move. And now he'll be airborne once again. Trying to spot anybody he can, and he's not going to be able to. Yeah, Rotten Twinkies, you're talking about him. A big college competitor. Back in the day, is kind of where he got his chops and cut his teeth, and then ultimately ended up moving forward to bigger and better things, it seems. Aji, Susscript, we saw them earlier. and they've definitely made some good plays. I don't know how much of an impact they're having on the leaderboard so far, but they're taking this a little bit slower, and they can afford to do so. They've got a building. It's now on high ground. They've got a team that they're very aware of, which is going to be up ahead. This is a great spot for them to be, and now it's all about patience, not getting too antsy and making a push.
Wow, there goes some shots. Talk about getting antsy. Robob and Wax trying to close in on the distance. So sometimes those situations where you can't let the damage go to waste. Wax bobbing and weaving in and out of the shield bubble, almost to perfection. Barely a scratch on him as they're trying to chase down that next elimination. Robob's going to clean it up, get whatever loot that he wants, get whatever loot he can. You see Wax just trying to backtrack. You got to realize in a situation like this, they're already at the edge of zone. They can kind of stop here for a moment's notice. That's Nebs, I believe, and Cease trying to put shots on into the distance. Mezzo's right below, and that's an easy elimination if they just look down low and try to spot him out.
Could be, but can also be their undoing if they don't know Mezzo is there. Think back, right, where we saw Turtle and Justice coming from the low ground up top. They were able to take down Mega and then took down a team just after that. Mezzo being a solo, it's going to be a bit of a harder task to do, but he can still do it. And clearly Cease doesn't know he's there. They're so focused on the task up ahead, as they should be, right? This isn't a bad play from Cease and Nebs, but Mezzo, he can make a play, and it looks like he is starting the attack, but will it pay off?
Yeah, and every single shot that comes in from the third party make it almost impossible for them to reach back, but Mezzo is just at least trying to go for something. You got to imagine the time that's left on the reboot card. They know the shields are knocked. Nebs and Cease, experts in the game, realize this is 3 eliminations. The zone's barely doing any damage. This is a must clean up elimination, and they're going to do just that, adding 3 more points to their total.
And good job from them. Now down to 16 teams, 31 players remaining, and the zone obviously gets smaller, which means the intensity starts to pick up, and we're going to see the teams converge and fight a little bit more. Kickback, I believe, is by himself, if I'm not mistaken. We move over to Quanti and Threads, who sitting at 0 eliminations. It's been a bit quiet for them. They do have a duo off to their right, but for the meantime, I think they're more focused on positioning, and they're definitely at least hugging the outskirts, right, the edge of this zone. They clearly want to take maybe, who knows, the dead side of zone, or either way, maybe more coverage, or maybe high ground, right, where they're heading to. So they clearly have a good game plan.
Yeah, very, very interesting game plan as well when it comes to their loadout. I didn't see a single shotgun of any variation on Quanti. Instead, he has kind of the red eye and that heavy sniper rifle, trying to use in distance to be his game. See threats between the two. They have 8 different shield bubbles on top of that. For them, they're just trying to play placement, calm, cool, collected, to try to get as many points, because we talked about it as the heat started. 60 points for a victory royale in itself.
60 points, crazy to think of. Crazy, but definitely worthwhile. Definitely worthwhile if you can stay alive. 3 hours of gameplay, 10 games to be played. Reboot looks like it has now come through. Cease and Nebs see this, and they're going to be very aware. They're ready to pounce. We know how aggressive that they can be. But they're taking their sweet time. They are. They're not worried about Storm whatsoever. They've got the chug splashes, so they're comfortable there. And at least that's just Cease's inventory. Nebs most likely matching the same energy. Very convinced someone's in this location. Yeah,
they either think somebody's there and they're just trying to wait. The zone isn't doing too much damage. They have plenty of heals on them. They're trying to use that as kind of a point to kind of anybody else here. They're either going to be low on health, and they're hoping they have no shield. So even if they do engage in a fight, it's going to be easy for Nebs and Cease to finish. But with no sign of at least even a single player, they're going to go ahead and try to rotate out plenty of the static launch pads, combine that with kinetic blade, so closing the distance is going to be an easy task for them.
Easy task indeed. Kickback, Assassin. I mentioned Kickback a little earlier. Was his teammate alive? Well, clearly he is, so good on them. And potential engagement, maybe 2. Could get pincered. Definitely not a good feeling or a good position, but they're going to hold their ground and hold what they got. I think they're going to get into a fight relatively soon, though. And are they comfortable with what they have? I mean, let's face it, Kickback doesn't have the best of inventory, Jacob. So if he gets into a fight, he's going to be at least outnumbered when it comes to weapons. But, I mean, you got to work with what you got. Jack is Godly is up ahead, and Rotten Twinkies. So let's pay attention to them. And they're one of the trios. One of the duos, excuse me. I was talking about moving up to kind of pincer in.
Yeah, and one of the duos that the chat's just kind of looking for. They're spotting his eliminations in the feed, shouting them out. And honestly, I've actually played against Rotten Twinkies once or twice in a few Twitch Rivals Zero Builds events.
Did you play with them too?
Not with him. I think my boy Fluger actually played with him,
Fluger,
who's honestly one of the fan favorites as well here in this
That's
lobby.
right.
But, I like when people aren't afraid to show their fandom.
That's
As
right.
honestly, it looks like Quanti threats on the other side. They're one of the teams I talked about didn't have that variation of any shotgun on the loadout of quantity. It's all kind of on the back of threats if they end up in any sort of CQC combat.
Rotten Twinkie's taking out trees, and you know, any kind of coverage he can get rid of, funnel in the players, have an open space, open ground so he can get the shot. That's what he wants. One airborne, and they're going for it. I think they missed kickback. Yeah, they definitely missed kickback in a couple of tags. Still going to have some shield, though, for kickback. Assassin, he'll get away unscathed. Now, where do they go from here? Well, snipe out. Assassin's going to be missed. Definitely got a haircut, but now it's time to rotate. Now it's time to move, and no shield bubbles for Rotten Twinkies. Hopefully Jack has one. If he doesn't, this rotate's going to be a bit tough for them.
Yeah, no shield bubbles, no kinetic blade, or at least on the inventory of Rotten Twinkies. You talked about being rough on a rotate, kickback, probably in that same boat. Two different heavy snipers due to the lack of resources or any weaponry, but at least that's going to allow him to kind of fire off 2 quick shots on a player. Ooh, but talk about firing off shots.
Oh my
He's on the receiving end. Rotten Twinkies just taking him down. And now I see why the chat likes him.
Yeah, brutal snipes. We saw him trying to hit a little bit earlier. He couldn't do it, but he did it the second time around. And now Assassin. You got to be really thinking hard here. What do I do? Where do I go? Well, you got to just go forward. You got a pistol. You've got a common auto shotgun or uncommon auto shotgun. Like, you are in trouble at this point, Jacob. And not only do you got Rotten Twinkies behind you and Jack, but you also got a team up ahead. Assassin, if he makes it out of here, brother, I want his autograph.
Nope, he's not gonna make no autograph. No autograph for you. No autograph for me. Maybe in the next lobby.
I still want it. He's a great guy.
Cease and Nevs. Again, these guys are experts. They're not forcing any of the situations. They're only attacking when they have to. And you see they're immediately returning back towards that high ground after they get the weapon cache, of course. That's going to at least get them some legendary slurp juices, depending on what rarity the cache is. Might be able to upgrade their weapons as well.
Look at this, huh? Like this angle. Surely nobody goes up there, but could be fun at least to see if that does happen. Lane might move in on it, though.
I'm just interested right now.
I am too.
Huge amount of patience from Ben and Lavish. You can easily try to fire the shots, but neither team is actually in zone, so they have to wait until they can really 3, 2, 1 attack at the same time, try to get an early knock, and then try to finish off from there. But they saw that Lane was by himself. That's the thing. They know that at least one player's there and traveled there as a solo. Never mind. Now
well, there's Lane. Okay, they can take these shots if they want with the red eye, and they will do so. The bush is the only use of coverage. Now, even though Benz and Lavish are up top, right, they do have the high ground, they still expose themselves to a random heavy snipe. So that's one thing they got to keep in mind. Granted, should be easy to get a pickup, but always something you have to keep in the back of your head. And for Lane and Super, right, they're just going to kind of take their time. They really have no choice. That's Benz and Lavish, they've got to go to them.
Yeah, as I was saying, that's a decent spot. They're in the bush on the edge of zone. They could try to gatekeep. Now Lavish, 50 shield gone. You got to imagine the 50 over shield as well. So a good amount of damage being dished out. And that's forced them to kind of stagger themselves back in the zone. Hopefully that team in front of them is going to forget about it. But again, I talked about that's going to be on the edge of zone. Chug cannon there from Lavish is going to allow them to kind of save as much of the heals as they can as that regenerates. Ooh, and there's pizza.
There you go. You have a little bit of everything on the rooftop, but you just don't have the positioning. And that storm is hitting hard, and the bullets are hitting even harder, and you gotta go. You heal up as much as you can, but Lane, Key, they're not moving. They're staying where they're at. They wanted those eliminations. If they can get it now, they might have inadvertently put themselves in a terrible spot, because Cease and Co is going to be right behind them. But there's going to be a knock. Lavish will fall, and I don't think you can stay put and pick them up. They're taking some damage. I take it back. Benz is staying. They're playing the long game.
Well, they have the splashes. There goes a lot of their heals. Maybe try to grab the last slice of pizza. So no, going to leave that one towards the back end. And they get themselves a spot into the zone. Shield bubble is going to be forced to be used. There's a team right behind them. Do they know they're there? That's going to hurt if they go ahead and strike. And there goes. Down goes Ben. Worldka and Electrics is going to go ahead and get that first elimination. 3 more points to their total as well, as we're inching ourselves closer and closer to the end of this game.
Worldka, even though he gets a knock and he gets a full finish, he's also going to be at risk of being eliminated, as there was a team just off to his right. Lavish did get away, though, so the duo's still alive. They committed quite a bit, staying inside the storm, staying on that rooftop. Lavish stays alive, but let's face it, Lavish, at this point, right, 8 duos remaining, 14 players on the lobby. You're not getting a reboot. You're playing solo YOLO at this point. Key up top, we saw him a little bit earlier, kind of gatekeeping Lavish and Co. Sizlucky, Degen still sitting pretty. They're not overexposing themselves. They're just firing shots out. They're in a great spot to potentially take this game.
Yeah, but Lame and his teammate are there on the other side of that mountain, hiding in the bush. As soon as that shield bubble goes down, that could be on the receiving end of a lot of damage, but they're immediately trying to close the distance. That's Sizlucky and Degen on the other side. Slurp Juice forced out right now, but Sizlucky takes a lot of damage. His shield disappears in the blink of an eye. World's Gun Electricity is trying to clean that one up from one fight to the next. The damage continues. Great shots by Degen to try to save the day. Electricity is trying to use the bush to try to save himself as much as possible, even go to the outskirts of the shield bubble to try to escape.
You can tell how Degen, he was really contemplating, do I want to make this push? He knows he had it down, but it's so scary to push that bush. Even though he knows the other player had, his enemy had a sliver of health, you push in that bush, you never know if that guy's going to be ready to go with the pump and you're down and you are out. Now, unfortunately, though, we have lost Sizlucky, so at this point, you pretty much solo YOLO again, right? But this is how it goes when we get down to the final couple of duos. And Wox and Rob, right? We talked about them earlier. Well, hey, they're here, and they're making a good attempt.
Yeah, Robob's showing what a true juggernaut he really is. Wox, though, having 7 eliminations, saying anything you can do, I can do better. Competition among friends. That's exactly what these guys are trying to do. As Edgy and Duke on the other side, the only other full duo left in the game. Threats is by himself. I do believe it might have been Muzz on the other side. Correct me if I'm wrong. He's by himself as well. So many teams really trying to inch themselves closer. You got Axe Force and Vortexers on the other side, forcing out a shield bubble from Edgy, trying to keep himself alive. Uh-oh.
Since they're going for the push, they got enough damage onto Edgy. They knew they can make it, but Duke holds the ground, and Duke makes the play, picking up the duo. But from one fight to another, a team is going to push straight into them. Duke has to try and survive if he can. Now, we got Robob. He's going to be pushing up alongside that of Woxen. Well, you got Duke up ahead, and he gets blocked, unfortunately. He tries to go for the kinetic blade push. He gets blocked by his teammate. That gives an opportunity for the Dig Boys to get out of the way.
And they need all the opportunity in the world that they can get because they're the only duo team left in the game. Wox and Robob. Degen trying to put some shots down, threats on the other side, but Degen gets eliminated altogether. Duke trying to go up and around, trying some form of rotation to figure out what's the best route to safety against these two juggernauts from the EU region, Robob and Wox. They're ready to close this one out.
They are. We go down to just, slim pickings at this point. Who wants the 60 points? It's already a great finish for every member who's still alive. But it's not enough. If you want to break into top 12, you got to get these added points for the victory royale. 60 points on the line, and only 3 duos who are up in contention to grab it. Will it be Wox and Robob? Well, maybe, but will it be our solos? Maybe too. Duke, he's going to take quite a bit of damage. Robot, he knows he can make this push. He's going into the zone. It's going to be worth it, and he's going to get the victory, and that's going to be the first time on your screen, Wox. Robob taking a victory royale.
Yeah, FNCS invitational player in Robob. These guys have came for a fight, and they really just destroyed everybody else in the lobby. And they played it perfect because while those other teams were fighting, they knew their position in zone. Going down to the very last moment was better than everybody else's.
And I don't know their unofficial position. Obviously, we have a living scoreboard because there's a lot of games taking place, but it speaks volumes that we're now entering our final hour of the day, and Jacob, they get a victory for the first time on screen. But let's reminisce. We go back to this confident push from Oppose, who ended up getting that victory, and he had to stay alive in that moment. I strongly feel that he should have been pushed a little bit earlier, but hey, he did it, and he lives to fight another day. I love this bait and switch. Buildberry takes some damage, but no worries. He'll back away a little bit. His teammate will then take his spot. Flaws will get enough damage to allow Buildbear to get the finish. What did we see from Chicken & Co.?
I mean, honestly, we've seen Chicken just kind of survive really to the tail end, sneak himself into the top 3. Justice and Tavern as well, taking advantage of opportunity after opportunity. There's when Chicken finally did go down, thanks to Tavern and Justice, who I do believe took the game overall after taking out Thoric here at the very end. And really everybody here in our second hour trying to cement themselves that top 12 position so that way they don't have to go another day tomorrow.
Faith, someone we didn't really see too much of, but at least got a glimpse of a great elimination. And this was the final moments, or at least close to the final moments, and really the start of Robab and Walks to really make some magic happen. I love this push. You go into the zone. That was really the only play from Duke, right? He had to go into Storm. He had to try and disengage and just trying to survive as well as he could. He knew he was a solo. He knew he was still going against a solid duo, but a great finish from him nonetheless. And they were number 2 last time we had a chance to look at our scoreboard, and with that finish, they could very well hold on to that number 2 position. But we have reached our final hour. One more hour to go. And, well, if your fan favorite team or player, right, still has a chance to make it in top 12, send them your energy because they need it. It's about to get real. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, DreamHack will continue. And welcome back, everybody, to DreamHack featuring Fortnite. I'm Taylor Reflections Noble, joined by Jacob MVP. Our Heat 2, well, it's about to come to an end, but make no mistake, we still have some intense and great games to get through. And for those teams who are on the bubble, right, 13th place, I would even say top 20, maybe even 25. There's still a great chance they can break into top 12 and qualify. Only 12 move forward to grand finals, which can play on Sunday, Jacob.
Yep, as it stands right now, we always talk about that living leaderboard. About 296 points. About 296 points is going to be sitting in 12th place. But you can kind of see 8th place, Notch and Source, 308. First place, you kind of mentioned them early on, Crackley and Ocus. What do you see in between?
Yeah, I mean, in between, we still get Bofink, who were in that 13th position, right? They were in 13th place, going from Heat 1 into Heat 2. Only top 12 move forward. Now they have a real chance, and this is the chance that they need to strike on. Duke and Edgy also in 5th place. Good on them. They've been playing incredibly well, and we pay attention to number 12, right? Because that's going to be the cutoff point. Degen says Lucky. They're holding on tight, but they're literally holding on by 1 point. But hey, 1 point for them, 2 points though for Knifer and Mega, and then even less for Casker, Clarity, and Paper and Jamper. The point is, if you want to break in from top 12, maybe even a little higher, or like I said, 24th and up, there's still a very real chance. Nothing is guaranteed. You can't become complacent.
Yeah, and mindset, and I like the way you said that, being complacent, his mindset is absolutely everything here in that last hour, because honestly, you could have the greatest start that you have in the day. You got yourself that top 12 spot. If you don't finish, if you don't hold on and actually perform to that same consistent standard that got you into the top 12 to begin with, that's really going to slip through your fingers. You're going to be upset that you didn't qualify and you have to go again till tomorrow. So I'm looking at some of those teams. We saw a few of them there in our top 12, even the some towards the outside. You mentioned 1 point really separating 12th and 13th place. Even though I look down, I think almost anybody in that top 30, maybe even top 40, still has a chance to qualify as long as they put out some pop-off games.
And now this is where the it kind of gets a little bit hard because do you change your play style? Do you not? And quite honestly, with the points being as close as they are, I'm going to go with the narrative that I don't normally go with. I don't think you change anything. Even if you are top 20, I think you continue to hammer home what you're doing. Maybe a micro adjustment, but you don't change your location where you're landing. Clearly, it's working for you. You don't change how aggressive you've been because clearly it's working for you. So honestly, normally at events, Jacob, and I know you can attest for this, like, we'll often say, like, oh, you got to change it up, be more aggressive, be this. No, I think everybody's playing incredibly well in the top 20. Continue to do what you're doing and hope somebody else makes a mistake.
Yeah, I got to go ahead and agree with that 100%. I think anybody outside of that top 35 maybe might have to switch things up because it's not going their way. But Sean, he takes a massive shot from the sky. He gets battled back as Moon tries to do what he can, taking down Source, but Notch from one to the next. That's going to be a double elimination for him and a game-saving play to keep him a Notch in the mix.
All right, so good on them. Already a strong start. Feels good to pick up the duo, right? Or at least the duo that you're facing off against and live a little bit. And that was a violent ending for sure. But Professor as well as Frosty staying alive. They pick up 4 elims, so they've already taken down 2 duos.
Professor Shake and Frosty claiming Slappy Shores to themselves. And more than enough loot. Don't have to worry about the metal that this has versus other POIs that don't. For them, it's just trying to scrounge together what could be a recipe for success as Dubs and Accept. Another wipe of a squadron going down, 6 more points to their total. And that just kind of goes to fall in line with what I was talking about. Those easy early game eliminations where you're separated from everybody else because the circle is so massive. Those are the ones you really got to take advantage of.
Smelly Nelly making an appearance once again. Huge fan of the name, can't lie, and maybe even a bigger fan of the gameplay if he can stay alive in this moment. An awkward fight, though, for Threats, right? I mean, down low, up top, where do you go? Kwanzi now in a really tough spot and nowhere you can go, and I said I might be a fan of Smelly Nelly for the gameplay, and I think I am, Jacob. What a play that was, and even better, right, from his teammate Dill, who was able to drop low. Smelly Nelly had up top on lockdown. Dill then found an opportunity to go through the door, obviously. They pincered him in, and they took down a very solid duo.
Yeah, that's honestly a confidence boost. That's how you shift the momentum into this last hour, trying to pick up eliminations. And honestly, depending on where they're at in the leaderboard, that could be the start of something big for them. We've seen some kind of photo finishes in the history of Fortnite, and who knows, maybe DreamHack here in San Diego can kind of do the same. Muzz gets spotted out in the distance, and he gets taken down, kind of having tunnel vision there for a moment on a whole nother team, and that's why you see Bully in the distance. Is Bully giving up right now? Or is he just trying to be a statue, pretend like they don't see him there?
It works. Hey, look, that's why I love Fortnite. You can play it any way that you possibly want, and sometimes being a statue, well, it can work out. Remember when the cactuses first came out? That was really meta, right? Be a cactus, go T-pose out in the desert, and it sometimes worked. It didn't work for me. I don't know if it was smart enough or not. Probably that was the case. But it didn't work out for him anyways. Dubs accepts, right? These guys, really talented. 5 eliminations off the rip. And I think what I'm seeing the most as we do enter in our final hour, right? You know, I said don't change anything up, but we are seeing some very high numbers early on.
No, we definitely are, and honestly, these are those moments again. Diz Lucky going up and over, a huge shot with the Maven, but it actually doesn't do that much damage. Him and Degen are so far separated, a down for a down. He's trying to cover that distance with the kinetic blade, going up, over. High ground's going to be given up, but the health advantage goes over to Degen, who lands that final shot to save the day, and these are the moments I've been waiting for, those game-saving plays to keep their players alive.
Daboog on the right, Bully on the left, Dubs and Accept in the middle, sandwiched in between what I believe is 2 solos. So it's going to be a bit weird for the solos. That player, unfortunately, just wasn't going to make it out. And on the outskirts of Mega City, Dubs holding on tight. Shield Bubble was thrown, and it needed to because Accept was taking a ton of damage. And there's going to be a couple of chug splashes they can use, get Accept back up in. Shield Bubbles are going to be dispersed. And now they can deal with their enemy, which is going to be Source off in a distance. And mind you, Bully is still staying put and staying quiet.
Yep, contemplating right now on the other side for Dubs and Accept. You use the shield bubble to go for loot. What is worth what here in the situation? They're going to go ahead and expend that shield bubble for what they think is the greater good. All that loot, including the chug cannon, that you can kind of recycle and kind of save a lot of the heals. They're shooting that one duo team and end up firing some shots on another, slowly trying to rotate in. They see Dubs and Accept just trying to rotate on out. This is still very, very early on in the game, and there's still so much to play for.
Source trying to fire out as many shots as he can. Alongside that of Knock. Got the high ground. At this point, they're just being annoying, really. You just want to get rid of shields. Get rid of kills if you can of your opponents. And if you pick up an Elam and Knock, hey, all the better. But you can't really expect to be getting that too often because it's just such a far distance. Let's see where zoned. Will it bless them? Most likely not, and it doesn't. So now all those people they were just shooting at being annoying, they have a chance for revenge, but everything's getting a bit quiet now. Togo is on the move, and Mama Benji taking the corner once again. They're sneaky, sneaky.
They're watching each other's back here. Teamwork, trying to make the team work. You hear the shots getting fired off in the distance. Honestly, that's bait. That's bait right now. Look at Wox. Robob is there somewhere nearby as well. They're firing the shots, trying to kind of make them think they're in another fight, so they try the third party. But Mama Benji Fish, she's wise beyond her years, seeing her son Benji Fish probably use this same kind of strategy before in the past. Patience is a virtue, and oh my god, is it paying off.
I want to see this work so badly.
Oh, wait, that's even better. The exotic breach heavy is just tearing down through these builds. They know they're there, and Wox is just hunting for them. Oh my god, what are we witnessing?
I would be terrified. I would be terrified if I'm Mama Benji.
The one shot to the face as well.
Dude, but you know what? All the better if it works out. Wox is,
oh
what is it? One more wall, maybe 2?
Like
one more wall, maybe 2,
right
and they're exposed, but Wox is shooting the wrong walls. He'll get there eventually, but it's just such a.
And look at Robob just sneaking around, crouching around, trying to see if he spots or hears any bit of audio. He has his volume maxed at 100. Plus any boost that he can get as Wox just continuously. When do they give up, though? That's going to be the question. Do they give up? I'm here for it, let me tell you.
Yo, Wox is being a nuisance, bro. Oh, how many walls? Literally one more wall remaining. They haven't been spotted. Do you dip? Mama Benji, she's moving.
Oh, wow. That's a
finds at least another wall that's still standing, believe it or not. Wox, like you said, was kind of creeping around.
There's no more
ammo. A lot of bullets have been used to destroy those walls, to be fair. And Mama Benji finds a way to get out. The master of disguise. But Wox, not going to let this go. Mama Benji, she's got to pull the guns out. She's got to get ready to fight.
I know it's zero build, and it's kind of hard to really protect yourself. I was about to say, he doesn't really have any damage left, but they abandoned to go. They went after Mama Benji Fishy. Honestly,
Good
Wox,
effort, though.
I was about to say, Wox was left nothing. He has no shotgun ammo. He needs something right there. Robot probably hurt him. Trying to feed the beast even more. And that's where to go. Robob's probably trying to return to that scene, figure out where that solo's left at.
Yeah, to go stayed alive, didn't he, right? Mama Benji was the only one that ran away. Kind of a sacrifice to go. You go on, carry the torch. Let's see what you could do. Cupsy. Haven't had a chance to watch Cupsy, actually. First time on screen. And over at the Citadel, we do have, I believe, one duo off onto the island just off to their right. Maybe a straggler in this distance. Cupsy will join the high ground with his teammate. Kind of stay put in the meantime. And Smelling Ellie making a return on screen, baby. Let's see what he can do this time.
I know he saw the chug splashes, but I was ready to make a joke that you smelt him in the distance.
All right.
His Dilo's there. This isn't necessarily the best position because you got to realize if you look at the minimap, if this continues to pull south, even east, they're really going to be stuck on that island in zero builds. If they don't have the kinetic blades, this is going to be one position. I'm interested to see if they even can get out of it. At least one shield bubble going down. That's a premature
shield bubble.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Especially since they're not really trying to use it to escape. They're just using it as cover in a position that they're not trying to leave.
They already know where they're at. They've shot all the walls. There's only a couple walls to take down. Yeah, this is not a good play. But will it work out? Who knows? We'll see in the future. Walk still being a nuisance. Robob, where he's at the moment, but we got a little bit of a hunt going on. Walk's joining Rob into the bush. Teammates are going to have to rotate into them. Shield bubble's going to be used, and this is where Walks might make a bit of an attempt forward. You know, I wouldn't put it past them with as aggressive as they've been, but they're in the middle of a couple of duos, Jacob. This would be a big game for them to drop early.
Yep. For Walks, though, and Robob, and that living leaderboard, honestly, Robob is going down. They've moved themselves into the top 3, but now Walk's going to have to do it by himself. Here's the kinetic blades closing in onto the distance. He's trying to abandon that one. Slurp Juice still playing a role in here to try to bring his shields back up, trying to keep his HP into tip-top shape. Now he has some floppers, some shield fish, some slap barrels. Definitely more than enough HP to kind of regain here in this situation. It's about how long do you stay in the storm.
Yeah, it's definitely a risk that Walks clearly is willing to take. Only a couple seconds before the zone, I believe, starts sticking for 2. So this is going to be a bit of a huge risk as far as I'm concerned. And you're not really gaining a lot because you've got teams playing the gatekeeper role, Jacob, who's ready to take you down. Speaking of which, case in point, Frosty, Professor Shake. Got 2 players up in front. I was getting concerned for Frosty.
I honestly was too. We were on the same
I thought yeah, I didn't know what was going on, but Ethan's, they're making the push. This should be an easy elim.
I'll be asking, Mom, where's the double A's? I don't even know if he's a controller player right now, but
Instead
Professor
of Water Boy,
Shake,
Double A Boy, huh?
ready to give out a lesson to Loki and Ethan's. Honestly, I thought I saw the chat showing some love to Loki as well. Ethan pops up and over. Shield with Bubble going down, trying to protect himself, but they're separated. This is a moment for Professor and Frosty to try and strike, but they just take a little bit too long, and they look discombobulated long enough for both of these players to go up and over with the Kinetic Blade.
Yeah, the Kinetic Blades just allow you to disengage and really clear some ground very quickly, and Frosty and Professor Shake clearly weren't ready for that. You know, they absolutely thought it was going to be an easy elimination. I thought it was going to be an easy elim, and now they have to readjust and use valuable a med mist. That's all he's got with 30 ticks on it. So Professor Shake's about to be out. We do have some chug splashes over onto his teammates' part, but it's just not a good position, but maybe they can make it work. Now Mingo's down, and one more remains, and around the tree we go. Kinetic Blade's going to be out, and he will disengage, man. Hey, he gets away, but the hunt is on.
That was huge for him to take such minimal damage, but sooner or later, the run is going to kind of slow down here as he runs out of charges for that Kinetic Blade. They don't know exactly where he's at. He went in the tree for a short moment, but in comes Replays and Noah. They instantly go down, get a little bit too greedy, and guess who's going to survive? Dom Chavs at the top of the tree.
All right. Is he on top again? I'm telling you, that's the meta. Hey, corners, that needs to go. Mama Benji, we need to see you up top of a tree. Loki spots. Loki spots. No, the Christmas tree is going to come tumbling down. And where'd he go? Well, Kinetic Blade gets him away. Oh, Flesh, though. He's out of shield. He's dead. Wow. Ooh. Good elimination, Ethan's. Good shots.
Yeah, he goes down. Honestly, I like the attempt. He was just hiding up there long enough for his charges to kind of reset on that Kinetic Blade. He instantly tries to get out, but the accuracy is just so pristine from some of the competitors here in that lobby that even though they're flying, whipping, and zipping through the sky, they still get tagged up. Just like that again. That split second from using their charges is just enough for some of these players to get taken down.
Quinn desperately trying to hit a shot onto Ethan's. Loki also up ahead. Now Quinn and Co, do they want to rotate left? There's a couple of duos in this area, and this is where third parties come to become an issue, right? More so than a benefit in this case for Quinn and Vert. So I think rotating left is definitely the play to be made. And live to fight another day, get yourself in zone, and then focus the players who are pushing out a Storm, play that gatekeeper role, which is going to be the best play. We go back on board with Loki and Ethan's, excuse me, who have continued to excel with 5 eliminations, and a duo's been spotted. This fight, this run, it's not over just yet.
Yeah, and I like the decision there from Loki to not actually fire the shots, not give up his position, because now they can kind of formulate some sort of sneak attack plan here. They kind of have their picking of the choosing where they want to go. They didn't cement themselves into any fight or any sort of rotation here as they continue to kind of move and inch themselves forward. Got Edgy and Duke there into the distance. Have a good tower in the sky, but just outside of the zone as well. Cupsy and AC outside of the zone with some elevation. They're trying to, what you said very, very early on, trying to drain the shields, drain the resource of a lot of our other competitors here in the lobby.
And it looks like a ton of open space for Cupsy, as they're going to be able to potentially rotate in for free, but they're going to take the long way around. So a lot of good positioning as far as I'm concerned. They're very cognizant about who is around them, and I believe they actually hired an NPC, if I'm not mistaken. So there will be another NPC tagging along with them. Jacob, I know you're kind of a big fan of that, except still inside of the Storm, and Medmist is now gone. And he's taking his time.
When I'm
Tubbs
playing
is back
trio,
there. Wow.
Zero builds or squad zero builds, let me tell you, I'm fighting 4v8s, me and Lash over there on the side, me SVG playing zero builds. Right now, these higher NPCs are not impressing me at all. Let me tell you, I feel like they need to see it a little bit more, especially the ones that heal or kind of do anything to kind of help you save any of those resources, as Loki's taking some shots into the distance, but once again, just backing up just enough, saving the resources here for the end game, because Ethan doesn't have any. He popped his last slurp juice. That's it for him.
To be fair, you are in a lobby full of champions, and an NPC, if an NPC was doing well, then I would kind of question the competitive integrity of what we had here, right, with the competition. But if anything, I mean, why not? Just hire him if you're right next to him. That push is taking a ton of damage, but it's standing. It's standing tall, and that's Edgy and Duke, who have been playing so incredibly well for the entirety of about 2.5 hours. We've been watching them compete. Now, Ethan's has to be very careful. He's pushing forward, but Airborne a little bit too long as far as I'm concerned. He's full drop.
Oh,
no,
wow.
He's going for it. Shotgun out, shield bubble out, and Ethan's will drop. He got a little bit too greedy there, but no way. Loki survives against all odds, but only for a little bit. But the fact that Loki even picks up the 2 is spectacular.
Hold on one moment, because Robob was down. He was out. He was watching Wox trying to run outside of the zone. I don't know what happened. I don't know where it happened. But Robob is back into the mix. You got to give Wox a huge round of applause. EU is here to stay, as they even find so much loot there towards the ground. Extra slurp juices, an extra shield bubble, and they got a rotation, which they trying to go ahead and think it towards the slow side, with the zone moving a little bit towards the north. They're going to have some congestion along the way.
Congestion for sure, and that congestion is only going to heat up as we're now down to just 14 players, 7 duos, and a lot of them are already inside of zone. This could be a bit of a benefit for Wox, and Robob is, you know, obviously going to be late to the party, joining in.
Ooh.
Third party maybe Dubs, except who's going to be just up ahead. This could be great for Wox and Robob, you know, despite them maybe not thinking they're in the best spot as of yet, but they only have one team to their right, Jacob. If they go left, though, they're going to learn, or they're going to at least run into a ton of focus fire. Right is going to be their best way to go. But then again, you go right, you're going into Edgy and Duke, who are, you know, at least top 5 very consistently.
Looks like they're going to grab that golden egg, try to get some more rerolls in their back pocket. I do know at least Wox is saving some sort of augment for later on in the game. Could be, you know, pizza time, something that he can use, get some extra heals. As Duke and Engie just trying to backtrack, make sure nobody's on the outskirts. They spot him out in the open at that. Edge takes so much damage, forced to use the shield bubble and try to escape for now, but Wox and Robob are closing in on the distance. That's damage they don't want to let go to waste. From one shield bubble to the next, Wox is there, peeking, bobbing, weaving, in and out, but he goes out altogether. Duke was a huge shot to take him out. Edgy on the other side. I do believe they each got 1 elimination each to continue their show here and trying to cement themselves into the top 12, because as it stands right now, it almost looks like they're just outside of it. Never mind, they're in 7th. They're in 7th. They're inside.
Yeah, they're inside. I think they're only going to grow from at least grow their positioning from here. And now down to the top 10 in this lobby. And well, they've got this duo's number. They've already dropped one. I believe there's a solo who's going to be pressuring from behind. His shield bubble is going to be pushed. Deej and Sis Lucky doing their best to try and stay alive. Now Cupsy wants to get into the mix alongside his partner, and Duke and Edgy. They don't want to stay put. In fact, Edgy's already moved up. Duke is going to join into the mix. Kinetic Blade's going to be out.
This.
Things are about to get very spicy. We're now top 8. And do they even know Cupsy's there? Now they do, but shooting the tree, I mean, it definitely raised some question marks, but hey, they're okay.
Something you haven't really seen used for a couple of seasons now is those trees that do break. You can kind of use them to kind of cause some displacement in your opponents. Ace and Cupsy going up and over, trying to continue their run in the shield bubbles. Dejan and Sis Lucky, they're just watching this from the distance, but they're still a final team that we haven't seen so far really present themselves. The Edgy goes in, a huge shot's gonna be fired thanks to the Mythic Havoc. Back to back, Cupsy now feeling a little bit of that hurt, but down goes Edgy. Duke's here as a solo. Dejan trying to enter the fray, but he gets taken out as well. It could be a 1v2 situation for Duke as he tries to get the revive onto Edgy.
Oh, he's gonna get it too. It's gonna be a 2v2. Oh, will it though? That's a lot of ticks. That's a lot of damage you're taking. Dubs and Accepts are going to be moving in, but the shield bubble's going to be placed. Duke and Edgy have been absolutely phenomenal in the shield fight. Dubs, though, he's going to manage to get a drop, and the second one will fall. Accept will pick up Duke, and there it is. Dubs will take game number whatever it is for them, but either way, they get the victory, they get a ton of eliminations, and they put themselves in a beautiful position to break in or stay in top 12.
Did you see what I saw? I know I don't have my glasses on nor my contacts, but did you see what I saw to end that? I'm not even impressed about the VR. I'm not even impressed about how they played it, waiting to the end to really clean up the eliminations. I'm impressed by the 18 eliminations that they just dropped in that last game. If they don't qualify here off of that alone, I'm going to be shocked.
Yeah, that's actually nutty to think of. 18 eliminations, and also the victory, 60 points, going for the victory route. Good point, and a good spot, Jacob, because that puts them very much in a comfortable spot. And I think a lot of fans out there want to see Dubs Accept, obviously make it into championship finals. And who knows, make it top 10 to play at Gamers 8 for the $2 million prize pool. That would be something else.
Yep. Right now I'm just looking at the living leaderboard that we're talking about. And honestly, before this last hour, it was close. It was anybody's game, but those top competitors, Cracky, Okus, Duke, Edgy, even Pilkey and Easiness, really trying to cement themselves 10 toes down. They don't have to change up their game, kind of tracking us back to the start of the hour. You're talking about what do these competitors need to do, but some of these other ones, maybe even Vortex or Axe Forces, they need to start finding some eliminations. Otherwise, they're in danger of going again into Heat 3 on the day tomorrow.
Deep into this lobby, we join another one. More with Axe Force Vortexers, who we have seen glimpses of in our previous games, and I respect the aggression from Axe Force, but Mega is also going to match that aggression, pushing up with Knifer. Knifer, though, does drop. This puts pressure onto Mega, who now has to solo it against, who knows, maybe a duo, for sure a duo in this moment. Shield bubble fight going down. That's going to be one drop at least, but 76 health, can't feel too healthy, and he will fall. And Axe Force, the aggression, I said I respected it before he pushed up Jacob, and well, I respect it even more. That was not an easy fight, but he gets the job done, gets his teammate back into play, and that puts him at 6 elims.
Yeah, that was near perfect, though, for Mega. Using not one, but both of those shield bubbles to perfection. Try to minimize the amount of damage he's taking while maximizing the amount of damage he was outputting. But in 2v1 and 0 builds is probably one of the more harder things you're going to do. And Jax and Blizzy got themselves a nice exotic, actually a nice loadout overall, including the pizza if they want to stagger themselves out of zone. And they're right there on the edge. Honestly, I don't recall who that was at the edge kind of going against them. That's Vortexers, actually, and Axe Force. From one fight to the next, they could be in danger here of a sneak attack.
They could be, but Blizzy rotating out for whatever reason that is probably going to be spotted, and, well, it doesn't even matter now. They're airborne. Oh, no, straight into Bins, though. Straight into Bins, and I believe Lavish Lily in the bush. Blizzy somehow spots it, sees it out, and gets a ton of tags onto Lavish Lily, which you would think Blizzy being at the health and shield that he was at, maybe I make that push, but he doesn't. He takes his time and, in fact, throws his own shield bubble in return. I think it would have been justified to push forward. He doesn't, but let's see if the passiveness pays off.
Hopefully Lily kind of called that one out. That's Epicwell and Reek kind of hiding, putting the damage on, dropping the shields, which she has no more of. Ben's on the other side. They're trying to take the front side and the back side of zone. Huge shot being fired off by Epicwell. Back to back at that with a pulse rifle, making it look absolutely easy here. He's one of our Gamers 8 champions through last year. He's trying to have some sort of repeat performances with the kinetic blade and another shield bubble in his arsenal. They definitely have a recipe for success brewing up.
And this needs to be success. The reason why they are number 20 on the leaderboard currently, right? So this game, once it finishes this, who knows where it puts them? Epicwell, really, they need this victory. And, man, this could be one heck of a game. Sitting in 8 eliminations, Jacob, this could very well put them in that top 12. We talked about it, the contention from maybe, you know, number 25 to number 1. The gap wasn't that big. Breaking into top 12 is really all that matters. New team on the board, though. We haven't seen Benpen yet, and this could very well be the highest placing game they've had, and a good time to do it being our final hour.
Yep, Benpen always hosting those zone wars, trying to have some sort of practice that he used come to fruition. Epicwell went down moments ago. Nobody really threatening this one, so this could be a nice res to keep them both in the game. You see the resources being dished around between the two. Epicwell is going to have to pop one of those slurp juices as soon as he gets back on up, saving the splashes for later on in the game. They have the shield bubble. One of the top teams left in the game overall. There's only a few solos, 2 to be exact, left in this one. So for them, they're just trying to get themselves the best position that they can. Or loot, too. Both is good.
Both is good. Shield bubbles for sure, right? At least top that off. Because pretty soon the final fight's going to be underway, Jacob. They know that. And this is an interesting end zone, given the big word coming, topography. All right, so there's a lot of, you know, elevation.
Wow.
Little, hey, look, sometimes I surprise myself. Okay.
Stealing that one.
Nebs and Cease, 10 eliminations too. So they're matching the energy of what we were seeing from Epicwell and Co. Just a little bit earlier on your screen. So another big game for Nebs and Cease, who have been playing phenomenally well throughout all of qualifying too. Now it's time to get to work. Reetlink pops inside of the shield bubble. Epicwell to the left, and I believe a solo is going to be off to their left. So they have to be careful. They don't know that. They're going to be beamed, and Reelink's going to drop. Epicwell forced to try and go for the res. The shield bubble works, but he's getting pushed. He's got to dip.
Yeah, that's Nebs, that's C's closing on the distance. As it currently stands, they are outside of that top 12 bubble, even with these 11 eliminations so far. So it's almost a must-win scenario if they want to qualify. We saw Reek go down. Epicwell biding his time, but he gets spotted out. Last of his shield bubble is going to be used. He goes down, back into the storm, just trying to create some sort of confusion on Deceased and Nebs, who's just hunting him down. All these eliminations, this is how you play their situation to perfection.
Cease Nebs. Sees one airborne. Epicwell saw him on my screen too. He's going to be off to the left. Nebs, if he drops down, he's going to be in a bit of trouble. There's going to be a do-off to his right. He doesn't know it. He's going to take quite a bit of damage. Forced to use the shield bubble. Disengage. Kinetic blade to take over the high ground once again. But this ground is unknown. But I guess not. Cease picks up Epicwell. That was such a deadly situation for Nebs to be in, and he survives. But look who's hiding in the trash can. Blizzy is doing everything he can, Jacob, to stay alive.
Honestly, I want to see this one's going to pay off. There's so much commotion going around. I don't know if they're going to hear the audio, see the trash can shaking at all. Cease and Nebs, they're one of the other teams that can kind of spot that one out. There's only one solo left in the game. Another one still has some distance to cover before they get themselves in the zone themselves. That's Benpen and Saucy, who got themselves on the edge, looking at the tree. I wonder if Cease and Nebs spotted him out. They might have, and yes, they have, forcing out that next shield bubble.
And maybe they heard the audio too, but they understand, like, you know, priority, target selection. Blizzy isn't a priority at this point. In fact, shooting him at the moment would expose themselves to potential damage, so they'll leave him where he's currently at. They'll focus on the others that potentially are going to be shooting back. Now, this is a bold move to hop into 2 trucks, drive forward, and stay alive. Jacob, it's a massacre.
Bro, I haven't seen this since solos in quite a long time. And one of these two teams, the inevitable is going to happen. They're going to have to kind of engage. You got Sods and Yees on the other side. Down goes Saucy. Benpen's left by himself. He makes a heroic play, but he goes down altogether. 2v1 situation. Cease and Nebs versus who? The man hiding in the trash can, outlasting so many teams. Those are bonus points Blizzy was gathering.
Blizzy in Paris, Blizzy in the dumpster, but this is a good
Oh,
play.
God.
Cease has no idea. Imagine if Blizzy hops out and makes the 1v2. The cat's out of the background of the dumpster, and it doesn't go very far. But I respect it because Blizzy, he secures a second place finish by hiding in the dumpster. Can you blame the man?
Nope.
There was a lot of action outside the dumpster. You had a semi-truck. You had a truck trying to run everybody over. I would have been doing the same thing. But the important thing is second place finish, not bad. He survives. He gets the placement points. And Cease and Co., well, they get a solid placing, not only first place, but the eliminations. I didn't catch the final number, Jacob, but I know it was high.
I keep thinking it's like for $250,000 and a shot at $2 million, I'd probably hide in the trash can as well.
I'm saying.
Looking through some of the replays, Nebs and Cease, they went through some scary portions as well. One of them going down. Cease forced to really be the hero. Jaxie and Blizzy there as well, kind of how their early game started, claiming Frenzy Field. And you can see in the mini-map here, another team closing the distance. That's Brono and Oliver OG, who got did up like a sit-up right before our very eyes.
I've never heard you say that. I'm actually a huge fan of that, Jacob. That was good. Did up like a sit-up, huh? I'm gonna have to take that. I apologize in advance. Duke and Edgy, though, they had a great game, and we talked about their placing. They finished what I think right there. They're finished off, so at least top 3, if not top 4. And this was an exciting ending, and I catch it. 18 eliminations, Jacob, for Dubs as well as Nebs, right? Or Cease, Cease and Nebs. They pick up 18 eliminations plus the victory. You want to talk about a standout game? That's it.
Yep, kind of bursting themselves into the top of our leaderboards, or at least a portion of it as well, as we get into our last couple games. 20 minutes left before the lobbies even close, and we get into our final games, the last chances for a lot of these players to pick up those points. And honestly, with that victory, I do believe that pushed Cease and Nebs into the top 12. So they're inside of the bubble, but with the few games that I'm saying that we have left, can they hold on to it?
Yeah, I think we have at least 2 more solid games to go, right? I mean, we are in at least nearing the end, and with the numbers that are being put up, not even from the teams getting the victory royales, but the teams elims alone, plus maybe a top 5 finish, I'd be scared if I was on that bubble on the top 12. That's the way it goes. Composure, though, makes great competitors. We'll see who's going to have that composure. We're going to take one final break. When we come back, though, the ending to day number 1, at least qualifier number 2 for DreamHack featuring Fortnite San Diego, will be underway.
in the heart of an ancient desert. The land of heroes awaits. Prepare yourself. To witness feats you never thought possible. Records will be broken. Legends will be born. And fortunes will be made. The stage is set. The largest esports and gaming festival the world has ever known. Ready or not, here it comes. Gamers 8, the land of heroes.
And welcome back, everybody, to DreamHack featuring Fortnite. I'm Taylor Reflections Double, joined by Jacob MVPR in Heat number 2. Well, it's about to come to an end. Only a couple more games to go, and at this point, things are definitely shaking up. We definitely, though, have at least one outlier up in the number 1 spot when we show our standings. And Jacob, this duo, they're leading by quite a few points, at least 90, I think, from 1st to 12th.
Yeah, he's over here just posting on social media saying, I did that on purpose in Heat 1 just so I could stay heated up and stay warm. I don't know if it was true or not, but let me tell you, these guys are on absolute fire. You see their 2 victory royales throughout the course of their games, 49 eliminations, only 1 team beating them with a few teams tying them. So honestly, they really set the tone of the pace here in Heat number 2.
Duke and Edgy have been playing so incredibly well. They're holding on tight. They've pretty much been 1st or 2nd place the entirety of this Heat number 2. And Paper Jamper, they go up to 12th place. They stay where they are at. Now, again, to go back in the past, I think they were like top 15, top 20 from Heat number 1. So now they're starting to sweat bullets. I'm starting to sweat for them because Source, Knock, they're on their heels. 314 points. And mind you, you can count in 14th through 16th. Epic While Reetling, Right Nipper, Mega, as well as Casker Clarity. They're all within 3 points of each other. And then it is even closer, right, going from 12th to maybe 10th place. So things are really tense, especially getting towards the tail end. And I mean, look at even 24th, Jacob. I mean, it's so close. Dangerous. It's on a knife's edge.
It's definitely dangerous. Anybody that I think may be from like 8th position and lower, and that's kind of being very generous for the person that might be in 8th place, but 8th position and lower is still up for grabs. That's 5 total placings that these players can still kind of steal away with a big game. You go down early, you don't get as many points, you lose your teammate, you're forced to play it as a solo. It's very, very telling of what's going to happen. And look at these juggernaut of names that we saw. Jayth and Yamzo, one of the biggest names in Zero Build's. Jayth is once again in failure, or danger I should say, of not qualifying.
Dom Chavs trying to stay alive as Mingo was dropped just a little bit earlier. He's going to get tagged in the back. Kinetic Blade desperately trying to get away. I think there was a flopper just off to his right, but no time. He's just got to try and continue to dip if he can, and I think he successfully got away. But just to comment on your point, Jacob, yeah, I mean, this is where, in my opinion, competitors really showcase what they're about, right? Whenever you are, your back is against the wall, you're on the cusp of qualifying, and, sweaty hands, right? They start to come into play. But can you combat that? Can you truly get over that hump and get over the edge? Well, we'll find out from those who are on the edge. And speaking on the edge, Blake, Bizzle, they're looking to make a move, and make a move they will. Will they drop down one? They will, and there's going to be one just off to the left, and that's going to be Volumes who's got it. Bizzle, being a smart player as he is, hides in the corner and makes a play. Well done.
That's one thing that even I know in Zero Builds, you got to watch out for people camping on those vaults. Even Lash knows it. We're going to be able to see Lash tomorrow, kind of talk about it. Lash is also one of those people, not to bring up Lash too much, even though he's not casting here just yet. He knows absolutely everything. Even I'm sitting here checking my information. Lash, does this look good? How does this sound? Trying to figure out those vaults. And he's the one, when we're playing Zero Builds, telling me to watch out. Somebody might be hiding around the corner.
Script gets a player one shot. That's going to be No Build Bear. Now, did he go up the stairs? Did he go to the left? Well, Suscript has to try and figure that out. The doorway is going to be clearing and covering, so he'll take over the high ground. And I'm very surprised. You know, sometimes moving the least amount of distance is the play to make, but you're still down to a sliver of health, and you're going to be spotted. But surprisingly, No Build Bear manages to get away, and Kinetic Blade is out. Suscript, he's on the hunt, and Flaws is also there too. Can No Build Bear get away? Honestly, at this point, it's doubtful, and well, there's going to be my answer. He drops. Good attack and good aggression from Suscript to be able to get that kill.
I said I felt bad because it wasn't even that he was going to go down, because I feel like he was going to go down nonetheless. But man, in the feed, Leo takes down both Agers and Kanata. Another superstar team gone. But what I was going to say is Flaws, he was basically out. No one knew exactly where he was, but because No Build Bear Kinetic Blade in his direction, that allowed Haji and Subscript to get some height and get the information of exactly where he's going to go through.
A shot from Haji. One player trying to disengage. Oh, nice shots. Wonderful. He sees the glint, though, of the scope. Heavy snipe. Aiming in. Haji, he'll dodge that. Make another attempt to go for a rechow, which that's going to be Flaws, No Build Bear teammate, who ended up being eliminated just a little bit earlier. Bizzle was actually down there, too. So from the corner onto the lake, he's making moves and making a good attempt. And, you know, surprisingly, Bizzle being the competitor that he is, this is the first time we are seeing him for Heat 2.
Yeah, I think the last time I saw him was in the elimination feed going down. I'm just as surprised as well. You talk about Bizzle, Blake just getting picked up by PSG, TNA. Probably playing like he has something to prove here in this situation, and luckily for him that there's more than 2 heats to kind of play in. He's going to have 2 more tomorrow to kind of pick up the pace, with 24 of the best teams already qualified to the finals, with 26 spots up for grabs, and Bizzle gets caught out in the distance. Haji and Suscript, with Flaw going down, they knew at least somebody was on this side of the map, and now it's going to hurt just a little bit with Bizzle and Blake there. And look at Real Godzilla on the outside as well.
Real Godzilla is going to be the thorn in the side of a couple, and believe it or not, Suscript will fall. Bizzle picks him up. Haji also helping out, taking down Bizzle, but regardless, though, now you got Godzilla coming out from the mix. This has got even more interesting. Blake is going to fall. That was Godzilla who took him down. The solo, and, well, the champion is Godzilla, despite him being a solo and hanging out. Sometimes patience is a virtue, and he takes down 2 absolutely stacked duos.
Stacked as in superstars, or stacked as in Blake and Bizzle just delivered vault loot to the side of the island, straight to Godzilla's hands. That's honestly, that's going to be a huge turnaround for Godzilla. Depending on where he's at in the leaderboard, even if he doesn't qualify into the top 12, that's a huge confidence boost to end the day. So you don't kind of end it with your head down, so kind of thinking about all the negatives. You can kind of hold your head high on at least one positive.
I can't believe that happened, man. Your face during that whole moment.
Bro,
I
was
got him
shocked.
up in Discord. I could see him. He was shook. He was shook. I was too, and I think you all were as well. Ridiculous moment, but that's just, you know, zero build, and that's just how the competition goes sometimes when we get down to the point where there's only mere points separating the winner from the loser. Well, Ben Pin, once again on your screen. Saw also joining into the mix. Mega City has seen quite a bit of action, and I think this is the first time I've seen Ben Pin be in this area, but it's not the first time I've seen Epic Well and Reetling be here. This is the area they've been maining since the very start, and it is working, make no mistake about it, but they need a good game here if they want to lock in top 12.
Yeah, honestly, for them, it's kind of like that superstar effect. I think, you know, they go Mega City, they intimidate everybody else that's around them, but this is zero builds. They don't have that same respect on their name as they would in builds, but you can see with such few teams there, not many teams really wanted to take that challenge, at least very, very early on in the life cycle of Mega City. But as time goes on, the vault begins to play a role. Teams begin to kind of close in on that distance, and that's why you see Alex and DNA kind of in the distance trying to spot out anybody on the top of the buildings for Mega City.
And notice the zone is still quite large, Jacob, but we're down to just 18 players, and that's pretty common, right? Whenever you reach the tail end of a time trial or a heat, right? It's 3 hours to play, and those who may not be playing as well, maybe had a less than, you know, what they wanted performance, they get a little bit more aggressive, and they really risk it all for the biscuit, which, hey, honestly, I'm all for that. Sometimes you just got to try and make a play, especially if you're down to maybe 30th place or, you know, maybe 25. But for Reetling and Epic Well, that's less eliminations they're going to be able to pick up, so it is going to make things interesting onto the timeline, onto the leaderboard, and well, we're going for a drive.
I thought getting on the motorcycle was interesting, but as soon as that car was found, trying to get the safety of a metal vehicle, as Hayes in the distance, trying to spot somebody. That's Alex and DNA, this heavy sniper, just trying to deal as much damage. Only 68 left on the card. They're going to have to abandon that one. Luckily for them, it doesn't explode, doesn't take any shield. Their HP down. Epic Will actually goes down in the feed altogether. Reet is able to clutch up and at least keep himself alive as a solo in our top 9.
Here in Heat 1, we saw a lot of the floating island, a lot of contention there, but this Heat, not so much, right? It's kind of been on the outskirts, everybody playing the gatekeeper role, and that's made things quite interesting. Heat 1 and Heat 2, kind of unique in the way that the fights were taken. But in the meantime, we see Alex will go ahead and start backing away alongside that of DNA, or excuse me, DNA. And I am seeing some familiar faces in the elimination feed. Benz is going to be one of them, so good on him to wake up this early. And I haven't seen too many heavy hitters drop out just yet. Cease, Nev's picking up one. But there it is. You know, speaking of the cast of curse, Paper does drop, right? So, and Jamper too! Talk about a big elim. That duo, when they started this in that living scoreboard, Jacob, they were number 12, and now they're gone.
And I'll take it as a job here, be a bearer of bad news, and they're outside of the bubble already, so Paper and Jamper, the struggles from Heat 1 and Heat 2 continue. We talk about opportunities. They have 2 more opportunities on the day tomorrow, trying to follow this one closely. Who's going to earn their spot to that finals here in Heat 2? There's 12 positions up for grabs between 12 teams qualifying Heat 1, 12 through Heat 2 and 3, and then our last 14 spots will go on our final Heat of the day in Heat number 4 tomorrow.
Epic Well, Reetling playing so incredibly well throughout Heat 2. Looking to capture the point, get that added loot if they can, and pretty much uncontested for the time being. They're keeping that duo who's just down below on that elevation at bay. And they're just going to kind of chill out. 5 eliminations, not bad, at least for the time being. They could very well finish across 10, and they have, you know, some of our highest scoring games that we've seen so far. I do think the highest, though, was Dubs, except just a little bit earlier, who had a total of 18. Really good performance. But on board with Alex, what is he up to?
Nothing. Nothing. He's not up to anything. In fact, he tried to get up to something, got shut right back down. Let me tell you, and to kind of add on to the point about Epic Well and Reet, they're one of the few teams I feel like in a consistent basis that from one tournament to the next, depending on where they're at in the leaderboard in those last and final moments, they know how to play into that situation. If they're down elims and they realize we can't win without these eliminations, they start to get proactive and pick up elim after elim in every situation.
I believe that's going to be the drop of our final lobby, if I'm not mistaken. So that should be it for Heat number 2, aside from the games that are already taking place. And this is going to be an absolute full lobby. And speaking of starting off hot and heavy, we're going to be starting off with Mega, who is already hunting down zero build goats. And, well, is he going to be successful? You would have to think so. The hunt is real, and the hunt pays off. Good job and a good start, as we are going to see Mega trying to hold on to what they got. Jacob, they are in contention, right, for qualifying for tomorrow as well, so they need a big game here.
Yep. However, a lot of these players here need some big performances here, and I'm trying to look at where Mega and Knife are actually positioned at. I do believe in the living leaderboard, obviously things could always change up, down, left, right, and center, but sitting almost in that top 20 mark, 20th place to be exact at this point in time, just trying to use every bit of their arsenal here, but Knife are running out of his small ammunition, so that tactical pistol is only going to do so much, going to be left up to what frag grenades he has, or even that Maven that has 8 shots.
Anybody could do it, could be him. I saw Moo drop off a little bit earlier, and I do believe Moo and Tax have kind of really slowed down since the early goings, right? The first couple of hours. I haven't seen too much of them, but we'll see what the final scoreboard ends up looking like. We have seen some very talented duos, and duos that were very much so in the top 12 contention drop off early on. But we also see some talented duos still remaining in the meantime. And Mega's job is not done, right? I mean, there are still, I think, 3 duos that are remaining in this area. The Citadel seeing a ton of action.
Oh, Mizo's on the high end. Nice first shot. Back to back. Mega's going to get dropped first. This is a position, if you're Knifer, you don't really want to be in. Back up against the wall. And for them, this could be the final game. It actually is going to be the final game for them. And honestly, you really need to be able to dig deep. Fusion and Leo might be saving the day because that was Mizo who's one packing the punch, getting that first knock onto Mega. So Knifer's just kind of flirting around, but he ends up in the wrong path yet again in front of Leo and Fusion, and they're hot on his heels.
And I hate to say it on the living scoreboard, they're number 20, Knifer and Mega, right? So if Knifer doesn't stay alive in this moment, if he doesn't get Mega back in, and this could be it. They might have to play in Heat 3 starting tomorrow. So this is a big moment for him to step up and show out. But the competition, it's fierce. It's heating up, and Fusion is on your screen. He's landing shot after shot after shot. Takes some shots himself. 6 health, Jacob, but stays alive. Good on him.
Yeah, depending on where that leaderboard, last game, last chance, they already got 3 right out of the gates. That's 9 points before placement even begins to kind of really tick in. I know it kind of starts right as the game does begin, but top 25, that's where you want to be. And those points begin to kind of ramp up. Fatch on the other side, going against Blake and Bizzle. We see this season after season in FNCS. Should be no different here in DreamHack as Blake and Bizzle are trying to keep things rolling for themselves. You saw them very, very early on in a couple of these games trying to put themselves in a much higher position than they were in the last.
Blake Bizzle taken down by Godzilla a little
28.
bit earlier. Heartbreaking to see, but it did happen.
Tragic.
It was, but it also allowed for a great moment, a great screenshot from you as far as I'm concerned. That's going to be my new screensaver.
You better not have screenshotted that. You better put that
100%.
back. You better put that in the
I'm taking
recycle bin right away.
it's out there in the universe, and it's staying. High Sky. First time
Ooh.
seeing High Sky, right? I mean, he's been a competitor for quite some time, and at one point was one of the youngest pros to play. So nice to see High Sky still in the business, doing great things, and potentially making some waves in the final game.
And that could be confused with the other High Sky that's probably putting in some work on the show somewhere in the back end. And honestly, from one High Sky to another, I think if you name yourself High Sky, you're bound to be a professional.
Well, given the fact that, Fortnite is
2.
all about high
2
ground,
for 2.
name yourself High Sky, you got some big expectations.
Oh, man, he's quite a sight to see. Not the FaZe High Sky, the other High Sky when he's playing Fortnite. Definitely makes it entertaining here, just like Cease and Nebs are trying to do. An entertaining photo finish. Currently sitting inside of the top 10, but still have that danger of a bad placement here, and they fall outside of the bubble. As Crackly, they've already cemented themselves a high position and almost a qualification spot guaranteed, but they're not done just yet. They want to terrorize everybody in the lobby.
Yeah, they're feeling themselves. Love what he said. He said he didn't qualify in Heat 1 because he wanted to stay heated up. Hey, really appreciate that energy. I like that shot coming out from Conlu. But hey, he's got to be careful. He's taking a little bit more damage, and Blake and Bizzle are going to be on the hunt. And Blake, he's pushing up, but is this aggression going to pay off? Well, he's going to fall. Nano's been dropped. Bizzle has to carry the torch, and carry the torch he will. That's going to be a 4-elimination game so far.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay, first of all, that's my last name in the feed, RCSD. That's my last name, so I might be playing on a second monitor. Second of all, Cease and Nebs just went down. I talked about them being in the top 10, but on the bubble. They got to be hoping for the downfall. So many top-level teams, including Quancy and Threads, Jathan Yamzo, Bofreak and Gooden, who almost qualified, getting 13th place in Heat 1. They need to be crossing their fingers, legs, their eyes, their tongue. Anything that can be crossed right now, they're crossing it.
And then Mega was also taken down a second time.
No,
but I do see Knifer though. Knifer's still alive, right? So Knifer's still holding on tight, doing his best. Okus will pick up an elimination, and Tripperin 2 will pick up Jace. Tripperin, a man that played incredibly well in game number 2. We watched him, pull off some heroics. That was one of our highest elimination games at the time, sitting at about 10. And Tripperin is looking to finish strong. And nice job coming out from Scram, pushing up onto Anon, who is a very talented player in his own right. So Tripper and Scram looking to finish strong.
Oh, there we go. Top 12. Shout out Connor. I think he's doing all the work producing this fine event. I know you guys in the Fortnite community already know him, but if you don't, make sure you get familiar. We've seen our 12th bubble and kind of moving our way in. Gooden and Bofink have finally inched themselves into the top 10. Cease and Nebs, who went down on 341 points. They got to be gripping onto that leaderboard for dear life.
That's right. They definitely do. I think, honestly, everyone who's, maybe 12th through 6th need to be holding on for dear life. And look at this play. I really do like it. We've seen some sneaky beavers pushing up for sure. And I was just highlighting and, kind of saying how good Tripper and Scram have been playing. But then you get these guys who crouch up to you. You don't know they're there. You don't clear the corner. Kind of what we saw, Bizzle and Blake doing a little bit earlier. And then your run is done with. Tripper and Scram have to keep the head on a swivel, baby. They got to be ready for this.
Oh, but they immediately use the kinetic blades. Go on the other direction as well. escaped could be a terrorizing scene in the Fortnite horror movie. And they even got themselves that high ground. So now it's up to Jivy to kind of see if they're going to go ahead and get that loot. I do believe they kind of got just enough, him and Kika. The scraps that is in there, and I do believe there's at least 3 Mythic Havocs to kind of go around as Jivy gets spotted out. They know he didn't escape as Trap and Skriprin. I said their name backwards there for a moment, but the result is still the same. They find that elimination onto Jivy, and now they're kind of hunting down that lone player in Kika.
It's a duo name, Skriprin, right? Go ahead and coin it now. I like it. Skriprin,
Tram.
duo, making it happen, and they really are doing it. Oh, no, Bill Bear Falls. We saw him playing so incredibly well a little bit earlier, and his ability to stay alive was, kind of unmatched as far as I'm concerned. But the 2 a.m. boys stay alive as long as they possibly can.
Oh, never mind. I thought he was trying to use the porta potty. Excuse me there. I thought Kika was thinking outside of the box and inside of the porta potty, trying to get out. Tripper was going to try to cut him off. What are we doing here? We trying to hide in the house? Okay, I like it. I think.
So
I don't know.
Kika is a guy that I ran into a random lobby actually years ago, and I told him, I said, dude, you're really good. You need to play competitively. And he actually took my advice. He took my word, and he started playing competitively, and now he's representing 2 a.m. playing here at DreamHack featuring Fortnite in San Diego. So I'm really happy to see him flourish and do as well as he has. Still relatively young, I think 20 years old, so he's got a long career ahead of him, and I'm sure he's going to be putting in some great work. And even though now he's kind of staying in the corner, playing passive, he's doing his job. He's staying alive.
Yep. Right now, Fran and Tripper, of all the time in the world, is iSky and Cam go down. That's the Bizzle Blake show, keeping it on the road. That's 2 more eliminations for them. 6 overall. That's their, I believe, 28th points on straight eliminations. They got to realize where you're at on the leaderboard in this final game. And just go for the fences. Go for Elim after Elim. What's the worst that could happen? You don't qualify either way, and you have to go to Heat 3 either way?
Yeah. Heat 3, Heat 4, right? I mean, you still have 2 options. I think at this point you can afford to take risk. If you're on the bubble, you can afford to take risk if you need to. Again, I still stand by it. Don't change anything because it's already been working. The points have been incredibly close in Heat 2. But if you want to risk it and you want to try something else, go for it. Now, against the going across the ice, Cupsy beaming you down, maybe you got to make a bit of an adjustment. But luckily, Cupsy is going to back away. Now, this is where things get serious. Okus, Crackley, these guys pretty much already secured first place, if not first for sure, top 12. And they continue to go. These could very well be the duo, or at least your favorite, to maybe win this whole thing. Who knows, qualify for Gamers 8.
Yeah, they gotta be one of the favorites to get first place here in this Heat. And with how they've been playing here, take it over the Heat overall, like you're saying. I wouldn't be putting it against anybody to kind of take it overall. They're still hot on the heels. Cupsy barely getting out. Half HP gone. 16 more with the twin mag. Brackley's putting out in the distance. He gets chopped down to size, sent back to the lobby. Forced to go through the next couple of heats yet again. They get tagged up just enough in the distance. I do believe that's Blake and Bizzle who are going to pounce on it. They've been fighting every single one of these fights to the very end. Oh, that's a big shot.
Going in deep, going in hard. Like you said, big shot. That's going to be the drop on the Okus. Crackley now, the final boss, if you will, to take down. And he's going to disengage. And sometimes, like I've said before, the best fight to take is not taking the fight at all. If that makes sense, I'm sticking by it. But Bizzle, hot on the heels of Crackley, and Crackley's probably going to get away here. I don't think Bizzle's going to be able to catch him. No, he will. Kinetic Blade. That'll help.
No. Blake and Bizzle are going to chase him down until somebody's going to get Elim'd in this situation. Unless you just get lost altogether. Bizzle, one of the OGs. Awareness on 9,000. Still spotting him out in the distance. Still getting tagged up as well. For Blake and Bizzle, they got to time their shots very, very perfectly. And they're going to chase. Like I said, when it comes to Blake and Bizzle, it's their show at this point in time. They have 8 Elims. They realize the only way they're going to qualify is Elim after Elim.
They were in 25th place coming into this game, and who knows after this game where it's going to lead them, especially if they get the 60 points. That would be a massive surprise if they're able to make it. Not because, I doubt their caliber of play style or their ability to play the game, but just the fact that we haven't really seen them all this much in Heat 2, and then for them to break into top 12 because of a phenomenal final game. It would be great to see, and the reason why is because Bizzle, being the caliber of player as he is, and honestly making history in multiple points in time, especially you go back to the World Cup qualifiers, right? The way that he was able to qualify and play, it'd be pretty incredible.
Yeah. Vortex and Volks. Volks coming, one of our superstars from OCE overall. And I've seen somebody in the chat saying, I love the shield bubbles mixed with a lot of these vehicles. I've seen Seti and Cammy kind of use the boat and do that same thing at the FNCS Invitational. So it's not necessarily something new, but it's definitely something people don't really utilize in the build mode versus the zero builds where those shield bubbles kind of play such a huge role. And honestly, the aggression from Blake and Biz will continue. They're going to find their 9th elimination overall, realizing I think they need a 100-point game in order to get themselves a top 12 finish, and that's a maybe.
Blake and Bizzle?
Yeah.
That's a big game. That's a massive game. But is it possible? Maybe, right? There's still hope left. We're looking at a total of 17 eliminations that Bizzle and Blake could get if they play absolutely perfectly and pick everybody up. And, well, for Bizzle, he's going airborne, and replays, Noah's going to be just below him. Does he want to take the island? Blake is already up there. Do they want to keep the high ground, or do they want to continue to push for eliminations? I think they're going to slow down just a little bit. Noah's been spotted, and Bizzle almost looked like he wanted to make that push, but he's going to pump the brakes.
Yeah, they realize you're not going to be able to make that a play like that without getting some damage first. And Noah, he wasn't necessarily trying to be the aggressor here in this situation. I say that just yet. You see the preemptive slurp juices being fought. This one is going to be inevitable to go down, but they want to get that high ground, use the riv, try to take the building off the top. Blake and Bizzle are there waiting. Shot's going to get fired off. Replays lands a huge amount of damage onto Blake, and even gets that first knock. The slurp juice needs time to tick in, and Bizzle gives them absolutely no chance at making the comeback. And now they're up to 11 eliminations with at least another player flirting at the bottom of that Rift Island.
So you said 100-point game is what they need. They're flirting.
Don't
they're
quote
flirting
me, please, because they might do it.
No, I know. Math is hard, but like I'm saying, like at this point, they're looking with the Victory Royale, like potentially a 90-point game, for sure a 100-point game if they go the distance. This is getting doable. I cannot believe how well Bizzle and Blake have stepped it up and how well they are continuing to play. Now, Mega, Knifer, they're still alive. Right, Mega's dropped twice this game. Knifer's been forced to stay alive, and that's why they don't have that many elims. But will this be the end? Will this be where they both fall? Mega's down once again. Knifer once again has to disengage, get away, try and stay alive. But how many times can he continue to do this?
They're really fighting for survival here. Almost everybody left in the lobby are some of our heavy hitters with at least a chance, with at least some sort of inkling of hope to try to get into that top 12 so they don't have to face yet another grueling heat number 3 and possibly heat number 4 if things don't continue to go their way. And Knifer realized this is still one of the earlier zones. Not a lot of damage is taking away. I can go back. I can stagger myself, try to get any bit of resources before I'm forced to kind of continue forward in this game.
There it is. Rotten Twinkie staying alive. Chat's been kind of talking about him. Where's he at? What's going on with them? How far have they made it? Well, now you see it. Top 10, at least in the final game. Only 18 players remaining. Rotten Twinkies putting up a wonderful fight. Let's see how far they can continue to go. Now, for Tripperin, though, Scram, they have had a decent game. 4 eliminations, but more importantly, they've been put in tough spots, and they've managed to get out of those spots. But this could be an awkward situation. Oh, he spots the heads. He spots the head shake, and he's going to be able to get a couple of headshots. This could be putting these two players into the blender. One's already been finished off. Tripperin goes to close the gap, and that's a finish. Rack up 2 more elims for them.
Yeah, the target selection for them is huge. And I'm wondering, why are so many teams getting proactive? Blake Bizzle outside of the top 12. Tripperin and Scram outside of the top 12. Everybody left in this lobby is trying to take matters into their own hands and control as much of their destiny as possible. As Kika back from the grave, he got rebooted from GV back into the mix and trying to have that second chance at life. Opportunities don't come around very often, and they've been given yet another one.
Bit of a soft game from Clips and Subortion. They are still alive clearly, but are they going to have a big enough game to be able to apex into the top 12? Maybe not. It's going to be close. I mean, they're in 61st place at this point, Jacob, and they only have 1 elimination. But a victory round wouldn't hurt, but a lot of ground to cover. They're going to go ahead and play the Bush game. And Mama Benji still alive. Hey. Good on her. Let's see how far she can go.
Let's see where's Mama Benji Fishy currently at on the leaderboard. Mama Benji Fishy has to be an inspiration to everybody out there, especially for people that might be thinking they can't hang with the young kids, the young kiddos out there. And I think Mama Benji Fishy is slowly but surely proving everyone wrong and realizing, hey, dreams do come true as long as you work towards them. Clips are trying to go for a sneaky play, but they actually get aggressed on from another direction as well. Third party's really playing a role from everybody involved. And wow, what a huge find right there. Just the nick of time. The augment to give himself a chug gun. Wow, what a saving grace.
Huge for them indeed, right? I talked about it. 65th place, though, Jacob. So a lot of work needing to be done. Jax, Rotten, they're getting pressed upon. Vortex, Volks, they're going to push up. Vortex, he's going to manage to take down Jack is Godly. That means Rotten Twinkies is going to be solo YOLO, forced to try and make some big plays, stay alive. A good finish here could very well put them in a good contention for qualifying in Heat 2. But a lot of work still needs to be done. And Vortex and Volks, they know we've already taken down one. Where's Rotten? Let's push him. And mind you, in the elimination feed, Blake will take down Clips.
Yeah, and Rotten Twinkie needs your support. You see, he got himself into the top 7. The more support he gets in chat right now, the better placement he might get. But let me not get too ahead of myself, because I'm just trying to hype it up. He's making a run for the ages, so they can make it a show. Hey, you might be a content creator, you might be somebody who streams, but you can still make kind of a chance at becoming professional here, especially with DreamHack, Fortnite, Zero build. Leading up into our Gamers 8 $2 million tournament at the end. 12 eliminations so far for Blake and Bizzle. I'm not saying it's cemented in stone, but they need over 100 points in this game in order to come out on top. And they're on right now track to at least get 96 if they get the Victory Royale with this amount of eliminations. So that needs maybe 3-4 more elims with the Victory Royale.
It's possible. I mean, that's the big thing. And Lash is in chat saying, you know, the veteran duo, they're showing up when it matters most. 100%. You know, he's right on point with it. And I didn't get a chance to comment, by the way. Lash, he's absolutely incredible. And the amount of research and work that he puts in is just great. And I wanted to make a comment on that publicly for sure. Volks doing a wonderful job. Nate knocking down one, going for the second shield bubble out. And I believe Mama Benji, this might be the end for her, unfortunately. I don't think she's going to be able to get picked up. But we focus our attention to Mega and Knifer, who are still alive against all odds.
Yeah, it's a lot of these players you've seen went down very, very early on in the game, but getting that second chance thanks to a reboot and a brave effort from their teammates. And even in the distance, Volk on the receiving end of some shots. So even if he didn't necessarily spot them out, he knows at least the direction in which they're at. And luckily for him, not too much distance to cover before they're actually in zone. As Sabotorian's gonna have to move out of that bush. He has some distance to cover for himself, and I like right now he could have easily kinetic blade to a better spot, but he's trying to minimize the amount of audio he's giving out to his opponents.
Yeah, sure, right. That audio is a key factor. Don't want to give that away, especially whenever you're traversing through the low ground. Someone up top hears you, they gun you down. That's a GG. That's a wrap. But he'll stay alive as long as he can. At this point, I think he's just going for placement points. They were in 65th place coming into this final game. Can they go a little bit further? That's the question. Well, things get a little bit tricky. 31 health and gone. And I have no idea who was able to hit those wonderful shots. Maybe Tripper and maybe Scram. Could even be Blake and Bizzle. But one thing is for certain. We're now down to our top 10 players. 6 teams remaining. And again, the story goes right back to Blake and Bizzle. Can they make this work?
They need about, I do believe, a 70-ish point game, and so they're on track right now to possibly qualify off of this one if they can kind of close it out, get a couple more elims to kind of seal the deal, make it official. It's unofficial leaderboard. It's living as time goes on, making so much more importance here in this final game between Bizzle, Blake, Scram, Tripper, and everybody trying to claw their way into that top 12 as we're on our final 6 teams, except just wasting no time trying to reposition. He doesn't want to get caught in this chaos, and he makes himself a tree ornament outside of the zone, though.
Scram, bubble shield to help at least for the time being. Knifer and Mega are going to be just up ahead. That's going to be another one used. They still have a couple, and Mega knows, like, we can't comfortably put this. I like that Scram is getting these tags, though, breaking down that overshield, and who knows, maybe making the push a little bit later on. Meanwhile, on the outskirts, you see the bullets flying. There's actually another fight taking place, but this is a big story because you have 2 duos who have done such amazing work. Mega and Knifer have done such a good job staying alive. More so Knifer, because Mega's dropped quite a few times. And this is a team trying to qualify. In the meantime, they're going to go for Bizzle and Blake. Things are going to get spicy, Jacob.
This is huge. This is Blake and Bizzle's chance to qualify. Come down to a fight like this. They get flanked up, 1v1, and Blake makes the play. Blake makes the play to keep him and Bizzle alive. But in the distance, another team that needs to qualify, Tripper and Scram, they hear the noise going down, but they're slowing things down themselves, being patient. They're just going to get that first elimination onto Bizzle, trying to inch themselves closer to their own qualification spot.
All right, Tripper and Scram, they're going for it. Blake, though, was the hero just a little bit before. Can he do a little bit more on that low ground? It's going to be hard, but Kinetic Blade to reposition. He manages to get away for the time being, but he's down to a sliver of health. He's now out of healings completely, and he will drop. But what a heroic effort that was. Will it be enough? Well, we'll find out when we see the scoreboard. Tugo is still alive, mind you, on the bottom of the tree. Accept is on top, but Tugo is Mama Benji Fish's teammate, so this is big for them. One elimination, not bad. This could be very well the best game, but I believe Exceed has been found up top, and Scram and Tripperin, they are hungry to get the finish.
They weren't even aiming at him at first, and he's going to be the first one to go down. That's going to be the bait, as Accept just kinetic blading around, and those are great shots that he's actually landing on the Scram, and luckily for him, though, Slurp Juice is going to be popped, wasting no time, trying to get as much of the shield back and putting the beam onto Accept to win our final game of the day. 12 eliminations with that one, but Reflections, was it enough? Did they qualify off of that game?
They might. 12 eliminations is phenomenal. We have one more final lobby, and we got Fluger, a guy that I'm a huge fan of, and man, such a great player. Will it be enough right in this final game? His teammate Opt has got 5 elims. He's got 1, so that's going to be a total of 6. And Kawanti is taking quite a bit of damage. We're now down to the final pickings, and looks like they're going to take the high ground. Fluger, though, is not going to be shy about getting into the mix. I've seen him be incredibly aggressive, and he's looking to do the same here. Lavish Lily, though, still alive, too.
Depending on Quanti and Threads, they actually need a victory royale if they have any shot at this one. Only 4 eliminations so far. Shield bubble going down. They too are outside of that bubble, trying to earn themselves a spot and really bypass having to go through heat 3 and 4 and immediately trying to take the high ground. They have that chug cannon, try to regain any lost HP. Shield bubble going down for Fluger and OPT on the other end. It's going to come down to basically a 2v2, and kind of everybody's really staring at each other, but there's another team in the distance somewhere letting these two teams go at it so they can clean it up.
How much damage can you take, though? Answer probably is not a lot.
Oh,
not a lot.
Pizza time?
You can't pizza time, but I mean, eventually you got to push in. And Quanti, by the time he makes a decision to push in, he's taken a lot of damage, but he's got an open field to shoot. Unfortunately, I think he misses quite a bit of shots. But hey, the good news is, though, they reposition. They do have that literally minuscule high ground that's currently here. And for Fluger and co, this is not going to be an easy push.
No, it's not going to be easy at all. Especially when that last shield bubble kind of drains and goes out. They're just trying to go ahead and move just a little bit quicker. Try to take a little bit of that front side of zone. Threats and Quanti, even though they do have the high ground, they don't have the position inside of the zone, and they're trying to rotate on around. And there's just a team somewhere in this lobby, Reflection, just probably watching this all play out in the distance, just crackling and smiling and just having the time of their lives.
Oh, there they are.
Just waiting, and they got spotted out, just like you said. Your eyes are definitely better than mine, let me tell you.
Hey, no, they're not, brother. I'm telling you, man. I'm blind as a bat. But hey, we got Kawanti down low along with that, alongside that of Threats, and man, you want to talk about some much-needed healing this late in the game. That is wonderful, and they're going to go ahead and reposition. Opt and Fluger have finally made their attempt up ahead. Lavish Lily Bins, they're going to be on the hunt, and well, once that rock is gone, where else are you going to go? I guess they're going to disengage with the kinetic blade, get behind the shield bubble, and Fluger and Opt are in no better position than they were at the start, but at least they're making some progress forward.
This is one of those situations. Look how far towards the eastern side of the zone they're actually going. Meanwhile, Fluger and OPT are just the kings of the mountain for now. Center zone, just waiting for Threats and Quanti to try to close in on the distance. Benz and Lavish Lily is going to be one of that other team. This is one of the slower games that we are playing out, but it just goes to show how much really is at stake for some of these teams, trying not to have to play a whole nother day tomorrow.
Whole other day tomorrow. Sounds daunting, but also sounds fun in a way. You know, just continuing to compete. Lavish Lily Benz have done such a decent job backing away. Fluger and Go have really been on the hunt, though. Lavish Lily will take the dead end of the map. Only one team is going to be into the center zone. And that's going to be Fluger and Opt, I do believe, right? If I'm not mistaken. Yep. So they've got 2 teams that could very well focus fire them. So Fluger and Opt have to be very careful in this moment. Benz is not being shy about repositioning with Lavish Lily.
Yeah, they're trying to use as much of that natural cover as possible, kind of block the line of sight. And for Lavish Lily, honestly, I would walk around with my shield bubble out, just ready to use it at a moment's notice, because you're going to need it in order to get into zone, especially with Fluger and OPT just kind of waiting in the distance at the top of the hill. Quanti and Threats Just trying to minimize their movements as well, but they got some distance to cover. A lot of natural terrain to kind of overcome in terms of elevation as their opponents get spotted out in the distance. That's Benz and Lavish Lily. The same two teams, honestly, Reflections, that were fighting moments ago as well.
Getting word that if Fluger or Threats win, they most likely qualify. So you got Threats on one end, Fluger on the other. This is a big moment. And really in the middle to kind of be the gatekeeper of qualifying is Lavish Lily and Benz. And, well, Lavish Lily is going to be lit up. Fluger doesn't make the push just yet. But are they aware of the team behind them, which is Threats? I don't know if they are, but they are pushing backwards, and eventually that fight is going to break down. Lavish Lily and Benz have done absolutely everything they could to push Opt and Fluger to the brink. This is such a big moment.
Yep, now Quanti and Threats on the other side are going to have to move. Zones is going to push them in. High ground over Lavish Lily and Benz, but they don't have the heals. They don't have the HP to really take advantage. That's why you see him scrounging around for any of the forageables that he can kind of eat as Lavish gets stuck by herself. 1v2 situation. She goes down in the blink of an eye. Now Benz is trying to think about anything here, some sort of strategy up his sleeve. He goes all the way over, kind of changing positions with both Quanti and Threats, who spot him out on the tail end. Talking about a must-win scenario. A huge shot going to be fired off by Quanti, back-to-back at that, but it gets stolen away by Fluger.
Yeah, that's huge. Fluger, again, winning this could potentially mean that they get into that top 12 position. So Fluger getting that elim is massive. Now Quanti, what can Quanti do? That high ground is daunting without question. And he's going to have to move forward. Fluger spots it Opt as well, but he manages to make a headway. And Fluger and Opt, they're not going to move. They're going to stay where they're currently at. They've got Threats and Quanti pretty much right where they want them, and these two duos are the ones trying to qualify. Whoever wins very well qualifies.
I thought it was a game of patience, but OP don't want to be patient at all. They go ahead and bait and switch. High ground gets switched on over. Threats and Quanti find a way to kind of steal it away with big brain play. Fluger's just trying to disengage and get out alive, but OP goes right in. Quanti takes a huge amount of damage. Down goes Threats. Down goes Quanti. Fluger and OP take the game.
That's huge. Fluger takes the game over Threats.